Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Talking Shit. It's your boy, the Sophisticated Jerk, M3, and Stan in the building.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, what's up, everyone?
So today, we got a pretty good clip that I'm going to break down. And I was going to do this one by myself, but I needed some people to like give me some pushback and walk me off the edge a little bit. Because this person, man, he's pretty big in this like manosphere, red pill. I don't know if he's red pill, so I don't want to put him on but it's like definitely manosphere, the alpha stuff, AMS. He had a video that just kind of came out, I saw, and he was like, the 50-50 don't exist. And to me, he was saying some trick stuff in there. And, you know, so my blood got boiling and I was like, I gotta cook homie. But yeah, y'all had some favorable things to say from him. So, you know, I want stuff to be a little unbiased. So we gotta review this and I'm gonna cook up a little bit. So go ahead, M3.
Let me put my disclaimer out there, right? Hey, I'm gonna be hella biased as hell. You know, I still rock with AMS or whatever. You know, if you say like, hey, tricking is easy, I'm gonna be like, yeah, hell yeah, tricking is easy. You know what I mean? But no, seriously though, no, all due respect, you know, I respect AMS or whatever.
Okay.
And, you know, I just want to just kind of dive into this topic. So I think something that he has said in the video was pretty interesting, and it's a little controversy, but I'm ready to rock with it, you know?
Okay, no doubt, no doubt. Well, how about you, Stan? Get your disclaimer out early because I'm going in, goddammit.
I'm team AMS.
Okay.
That's all I have to say. Hey, can't follow everything, but you know what? He's on that. For me, he helped me out a lot, and we'll talk about it when we come back.
Okay, no doubt, no doubt. That's good to know. That's why, like, man, there's certain things, and there is levels to shit. So, I saw some of his other clips, and he was spot on. So I'm not one of them people like, oh my god, since you said this, like, disregard like all your other stuff. But when I heard this, man, it revealed a certain mindset. So he definitely ain't the motherfucking jerk. Let me just put it out there like that. So he might be coaching some of y'all guys, and it sounded like he did some good work. But goddamn it, I'm Yoda out this bitch. So let me put this clip up. I was like, damn, man, he gotta get rid of that mindset. But it sounded like a solid dude, so I'll give him that, you know. But all right, let me go ahead and play this. So before I just jump in, I'm a 50-50 guy, and we're gonna break it down throughout the video. And this is why I think he's wrong on a lot of stuff, because a lot of guys always take the stance like, oh, there's no such thing as the 50-50.
Yeah, I'm a 50 guy too.
I'm a 50-50 person as well too, you know.
Yeah.
And I understand where they're coming from, but it's one of those things where I think a lot of guys, it might be because you never got it, that you feel that way, where it's just like, nah, man, a guy has to take on like 100% and all this stuff. And it's just like, man, that ain't the case. You know, maybe you just didn't experience that because you're focused too much on the looks. You're focused too much on other areas to where like you're not getting the chick that is actually into you like that. So that's why she's charging you. But there's a lot of guys, like if you go find guys that got game and shit, they'll tell you like, hey man, I always had a favorable deal. So I think that's what's going on a lot of times when guys get pushback on it. It's just like they ain't experienced it. They ain't seen it enough. So that's why their mind is just like, nah, they can't process it because they're just like, hey, it can't happen because I never had it and I got my shit together. So that's why I was saying there's tiers to guys, man. Every guy ain't gonna get the same deal. Females always say it on these lives. They're like, hey, if I'm really into guy, we could go walk in the park and I'm gonna give him some ass, you know. But I might, you know, if I really don't like a guy, he's gotta take me to, you know, $500 dinners and shit like that. He gotta fly me to Dubai and shit. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like guys just don't. Maybe it's some ego thing where they don't want to accept certain things. So that's why. You know, some of these statements, and it kind of comes off like some hate shit. So that's why I got to address it. But let me go ahead and start the video. Hold on.
What's up, fellas? Had a loyal patron supporter that wanted me to speak on, do I think 50-50 relationships can work? How I think of this, guys, it really just gonna depend on some things about the woman. And I'm gonna get into that right now, guys. Number one, guys, the woman's upbringing. Is she
Hold on,
what
I
she?
gotta stop it already. This is the first issue that I kind of saw what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the woman. And see, man, this is why a lot of guys have like a bunch of terrible results. It's because it depends on you. It starts with the man. Because, you know, and that's the issue I have with a lot of guys. Because, you know, when we're talking about leadership, you know, if you don't have the confidence to step to a female and kind of like, I'll say manage expectations, like, hey, here's how I operate. Here's why we operate like this, and break it down, your vision. That's what we always say, the plan, whatever. That's where a lot of guys mess up. And that's why they think they can't get this type of relationship. Because a lot of times guys have it in their head, they lack the confidence. And when they go into a female, they're sitting there, they're like, what does she want? You know what I'm saying? Of course, and then there's a lot of females that are coming into the situation from I'll say a self-centered standpoint. They're not focused on what's best for the house.
Yeah.
So with guys, naturally, they're trying to, you know, accommodate what she wants. And she's coming from a self-centered state. That's why they're like, oh man, it's not going to work because she's going to be resentful and all this. I'm like, man, you know, majority of females are going to be resentful for everything. So, you know, if you're a guy and you're truly masculine and you're an alpha, you're going to understand that female nature is they're going to be resentful in any capacity. And your job is to not give a fuck. You know, it's just that simple. It's just like, hey, here's my vision. You're not going to derail it. You're going to operate in this situation like this because, hey, here's the overarching picture. We're going to win. And if you don't like it, kick rocks. So when he kind of made that statement, that's the issue. It's just like, hey, you know, it's got to be the certain type of female. It's like, no, it starts with you. You got to know what you need to look for. You got to know, you got to be willing to walk away from the female. And that's what sets the tone for everything. And that's why a lot of guys can't get that. So I just wanted to stop right there. Did any of y'all want to chime right here?
No, I agree with you. Like, it does start, like, you know, with what, like, you know, your mindset, your selection. Because ultimately, if we worry about what they want, then we got to conform to how they feel, especially they going through the emotions. Because one minute they might want something from us, then the next minute they may want something different from us. But you got to be in control of your selection of women that you choose. So I'll start right there, and then when we go to continue with the video, then I'll say a little bit more.
For me, I look at actions. After talking, I see how you operate. Like, if you can't even get me Starbucks,
Yeah, I would.
You answered so much for me. Like, if you can't, and you can't just like anything. If you give me a crummy Christmas present or birthday present,
yeah, she gets you some socks and stuff. It's like it's a wrap. Like, you ain't put no thought in that. You just got some junk.
and also, women, disclaimer: sex is not a gift. I'm gonna say that before. I'm gonna say it again. Sex, gift. I'm not some deity. I don't want it, and you already gave it to somebody else before. So don't give me, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna give you no pass down. I ain't gonna give you no D because I gave it to somebody else before. So, like, look, I'll give you a gift that's tailored for you. Basically, what I'm saying, like, if you're not a giver, I can't expect you to do 50-50 because that's not in you. You're a taker. And that's what I look out for. Do you always take? And if you always taking, and it's just like only in dating, just in life, you just take away from your siblings, you take away from your parents, and there's grown people like that. Like, the world is just the world is a tree full of apples, and they just pluck away and not replacing it and not giving back, and that to me is a red flag. And I just look for it, and there's no discussion, because discussing to me is just some imaginary vision of yourself. Your actions, to me, will speak louder than what you say.
Facts. And I got some other points, but I'll let it play out, and we'll get to it. But good points, y'all.
Raised in a traditional household or a non-traditional household. So it's going to be hard to expect a woman that grew up in a traditional household, that's with the father being the primary breadwinner, to want to go 50-50 with you. You know what, guys? I'm going to be honest with you. I think 50-50 is an unfair question. You hear people, guys say 50-50. I don't really think guys mean 50-50. I think guys mean like 75-25. I don't really think no guy actually means 50-50 as in we split everything. I think most guys think like, okay, if I pay the big bills, like say the rent or the mortgage and the car note, if we have one, you could pay the smaller stuff. I don't actually think guys really mean 50-50, but I'll just stick to the question he asked me, right? But that's 50-50, you really stretching it for any woman. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. 50-50 would be hard to go unless the woman makes a good amount of money more than you. Then maybe 50-50 can work, because in that situation, she makes 250 and you make 75. Okay. But if you make 100 and she make 100, I'm just telling you.
What's that?
You can hit pause because I just want to say something about that. I've learned that if the man makes 75 and he able to make it grow, a lot of times people don't know that like there's people buying homes with only $45,000 a year. A lot of times we're looking at six figures as that's like the only income to survive on, and that's a mistake, because I know when I get taxed and I'm like, I don't make no money, and my CPA always have to bring me to reality, and he's like, to the United States of America, you make a lot more. Nobody asked me for no loan. I ain't got nothing for you. I got kids. Leave me alone. He said, he like, you make a lot of money. And I think a lot of times people are so hung up on that they don't have money that you're not doing the budget, and you're probably spending a lot of money that you do have on stuff that you don't need. And people who are making $40,000 a year are buying homes and multi-level homes. So if a man is making $75,000 a year and you're in love with him, guess what? Either he's going to move in your house or his house, but one of those homes is going to be a rental property, number one. Number two, put your money into savings, because you're not always going to make that $250,000. And guess what? Y'all could travel. You can pay for the trips. He paid for pretty much everything else, but it's his house. So what I discovered, like, man, don't move into something that either one of you can't afford. Stop buying big houses that nobody gonna come and visit you in because you don't want us to stay there and you don't want us to go visit for parties. Just stop it. We'll meet you at IHOP. It's gonna be okay. You don't need that big house. You want to travel. You can't have everything. Pick what's important. If traveling is big, then spend your money on traveling, but you do gotta save. You do gotta put stuff into IRA, and you're gonna have some pocket money and also money that you gotta spend for your family that's gonna need some help later on in the future. Hanging up on money to me is like it's crazy work. And like, ladies, you got money. Stop wasting it and just stop spending it mindlessly. Like, you just gotta be mindful.
No, good point, Stan. And what, because I'm going to address some of that, what you were saying, but here's the issue with what he's kind of pointing out. And man, I think he's a solid guy, man. Like I said, I watched the videos and, he looked like he could pull, but I think sometimes when, what happens with guys, man, when they do start building up, it's like the mindset don't catch up sometimes where, the confidence and stuff, even on the exterior, you'll see some dudes that work out, they look jacked up, but it's just like the mindset, the confidence ain't all the way up. And so what guys don't understand is just like a lot of this stuff, what deal you kind of set with a chick. So it's like, if you're sitting there, you're like, hey man, the only way I can have leadership and get her to work with me is if I pay for everything. It's just like, man, you really don't have leadership at that point. I know everybody tries to sell that tip, but like we was talking about, even in that one live we was doing, it's like Kevin Costner, Hugh Jackman, all these guys are divorced. And man, they could provide the ultimate provider lifestyle where the chick is sitting there, don't even have to do nothing in the house, and they're still unhappy. So that's why I'm saying a lot of guys, just don't understand. It relates to how the woman likes you. So that's why I said it starts with you, because it's just like, man, if you got your stuff together, you're approaching somebody, you got the confidence, and you're just like, look, I'm not willing to accept any terms less than what I'm telling you. It's going to work out. And so many females, like even at my job, 60% of my job is women that make all of us, like the leadership. I was a couple weeks ago, we have this thing where we just talk online just to get some downtime, because you know everybody's been teleworking, so it's just like, hey, this is a time for us just to like wind down. We talk about TV shows, but I was just like interested. I'm like, man, how does everybody operate their household finances? Because like I said, a lot of the females are in leadership roles, and they were like, man, we all work with our men. They're all very feminine, and they're just like, you know, me and my husband, we're working on paying down the debt, we're investing, you know, we're trying to buy this other income property and stuff. So I think a lot of times too, a lot of guys just aren't online. Like I said, they chase the look so much where, you know, they're not considering like females that have the right mindset for it, where, like I said, they might be cute, but they're not the baddest person out there. So a lot of guys live to like try to their friends and stuff. So the
baddest person got so much makeup. If they can't swim in no water, guys.
But yeah, now just going back like to his statements, and it's just like, so with me and my wife, and what you were kind of saying, Stan, it's just like, man, when you look at people, when I look at people's finances, because I help a lot of people with their finances, when guys are like, oh man, just I'll pay everything, and she saves money, she's putting the money in a basic savings account, overspending. She's not tapping off her 401k plan. So the guy on his end, since he's like, you know, paying for everything, he's over leveraged, you know, with the funding. He's only putting in like 4 or 5% in his 401k plan. So it's like, overall, when you look at everything holistically, when I'm looking at shit, I'm like, man, y'all so far behind because of this like stupid society thing everybody keeps signing up for. So like me and my wife, we're like, hey, we both do the 50-50. We split the bills down the line. Ain't no 70-30. We split it down the line because it allows both of us to top off our 401k plan. So my wife, she'll do the savings with the money left over from her thing. So she puts in the savings for the whole household, and she got it in a high yield savings account. And then with mine, I do the investing because, you know, I'm a little more aggressive and knowledgeable on that. So it's just like, that's why we do that. So a lot of people, man, it's just, I think they lack financial literacy. So that's why a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not doing no 50-50. But it's just like, man, you know, when you have more confidence and you get the right woman that is actually intelligent, you know, you're not going to run into these issues and stuff.
Because here's something like, why wouldn't you want to go 50-50? Because guess what? With 50-50, you're not spending 100% of your check.
Facts. Because just to piggyback off that, and I'll give a little bit. Me and my wife, we got a 7-bedroom house. And I say our mortgage.
Wait, before you go on, and they don't want no visitors. They ain't do no bed.
Yeah, not at all. You can't stay here.
So they house
for y'all can come and stay at the house. We actually, I'm gonna fly M3 out to do some photo shoots and stuff. My man, kind of nice with the camera work, but no, it's funny because my wife was talking to one of her friends before, and so the female was asking her. She was like, "Oh, I can't do no 50-50." So keep in mind, she was single, 1-bedroom apartment. She's paying $2,000 in our area. So me and my wife, when we split stuff up, my wife technically she's only paying $1,300 for a 7-bedroom house. So my wife is telling her like, "Hey, this is how stupid y'all females are because me working with my husband, I'm in a 7-bedroom house and I'm only paying $1,300." You know what I'm saying? I'm topping off my 401k plan because I'm not over leveraged. If I was like single like you, because the lady wasn't even topping off her 401k plan, she still had like student loans. My wife is like, man, we ain't got no bills. We investing, you know, like I said, me and my wife in the 1%. So that's what people just don't understand. It's like, you get with somebody, y'all work together instead of doing this stuff where you putting all the burden on somebody, or you worried about if she's going to be resentful, man, you're missing opportunities and stuff. So that's why I'm saying like the issue I had with AMS where he's just like, it ain't going to work. You need to do this, it is because the female ain't going to, it's just like, man, that's where guys got to get better at. Like, I got a dope vision. I'm knowledgeable in this stuff, and if you ain't in line with me, I'm better off by myself because I ain't taking on all that burden. So, and it just shows a little bit of a fear mindset with guys. And like I said, a little bit of lack of confidence, because this is like, if you have confidence and stuff, you're gonna come to that table like, hey, look, if you ain't willing to work for me, I'll be by my damn self. Because like we said on the other live, it's like most of these females are going out in the dating market. They're sleeping with dudes that don't pay no bills. So if they're coming to you and they're like, hey, if you're gonna be with this is what the females are doing. They're like, look, you're gonna be with me, you're gonna pay all my bills and stuff. So they're trying to give their husband or the guy that's gonna commit to them the worst deal. But all the other people that was with them ain't paying no bill, and they sitting there, they getting knocked down and stuff. So it's just like, if any females with me, you're gonna give me the best deal. I demand that. You know, you're gonna respect me. I'm not conceding on leadership just because you want to be you got to be an adult, and I'm gonna enforce that. So that's what I'm saying. Selection is important. It's like, man, M3, if you want to jump in there.
No. I mean, look, everything that you're saying, man, is definitely like valid, and now it just make me reminisce like the times like where I probably say like when I was like in my mid-20s, and you know I had all these visions and ideas, which was unfortunate, like certain circumstances, like you know, just kind of like took that away. But and when I was younger, man, like I was like, look. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was like maybe my first investment book. I read that from the beginning to the end of it. I didn't really know like about leveraging, like, you know, homes, properties, all this other stuff, right? And like the art of investing. And so, you know, like this decision, I made good decisions, I made bad decisions. A lot of bad, probably more bad than good, you know what I mean? But my direction and focus was basically, you know, I wanted to be able to have financial literacy. Now, again, you know, there's always going to be, in my lifetime, there was always a circumstance that pretty much destroyed the vision or destroyed whatever that I had coming or whatever that I did have, because I had like investment property. I had like, you know, single family homes or whatever. Of course, you know, before divorce shit, but you know, and COVID, like I was already set, man, like to pretty much retire at a certain age, like once, you know, the mortgage was paid, or once, you know, we get up to like a certain financial like threshold. So from going to like an investor to now starting over from ground zero, what I'm looking at is like when I hear like all these like these red pillars talk about like you got to come out with the most money to be able to leverage for your woman, and you're not really even thinking about the investment mindset. You're just more thinking about like, okay, just getting ass, getting the most like cheeks that you can. That right there says a lot of like young folks for failure. You know what I mean? Exactly. That's just like people my age for failure, to be honest with you. If you listen to that type of advice, and again, no disrespect to AMS or whatever, you know, but he got his career established. He got his YouTube. He's an investor too. He invests, he saves or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I get that he had like a money strategy book or whatever. Alpha Money Strategies. That was his second book. And unfortunately, his followers, they didn't care about the money.
They all care about is like women. And he got on them. He's like, only doing this is what you guys keep on asking for. But you guys got to get your money right, because this is ridiculous. And that's what it shows like where men are at. They just want a relationship, but not understand you got to maintain this relationship, and you got to maintain yourself. Because as men, we can't go out there and find a sugar mama like that. Like, it doesn't work like that.
No, but it's just the like fairy tale people kind of sell. It's just like, hey, if you pay for everything, she's gonna be happy and you're gonna have longevity. And it's like, that shit don't work. You know what I'm saying? We see it with the numbers. Like, if you look at the numbers, like all stay-at homes have a pretty high divorce rate also. So that's why I give a lot of pushback. And I'm like, look, even from a female perspective, it's just like, because like I said, my mom was like a stay at home, and her and my dad got a divorce. And it's just like, man, it don't put nobody in a good capacity when a divorce happens. So it's just like, hey,
something happened with my mom. Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah. Just let me finish up and I'll toss it to you. So it's just like, my dad had to give out some money and stuff, which he didn't mind because he was like, hey, man, I was married to you. But once he had to give that lump sum, he wasn't in the best condition until like he went to school and did other things. And the same thing with my mom, even though she was getting that money, since she didn't have no skill sets and stuff, she was like,
that part
not in a great position. So it sets everybody up for failure. And I get it. I hear a lot of guys like, oh, when I get a divorce, I'm gonna, just pay this money. I have no issue. I could always get more money. Man, talk to any divorce lawyer. Once everybody gets a divorce, everybody's lawyering up. Guys ain't trying to pay. Women are trying to take more than half. And it's just like, hey, if we both, like I came to my wife, I was like, look, here's the reason why I went a 50-50. And I was just blunt. I'm like, I ain't trying to lose my shit, and I don't want to put you in a bad capacity. So you might not want to do this shit, but if we both go out of work and we keep leveling up, we're going to put ourselves to a good capacity where if anything happens, hey, you could go your way. You're going to be you're going to be in a good shape. Same thing with me. And personally, I've never wanted anybody that wanted to be stuck to me because out of necessity. Be like, oh, I hate them, but I can't leave because I might be struggling and stuff. And I think that's where a lot of guys, they don't understand why, this is kind of a bad position to take with a provider to stuff, because it's like females will stick around. They'll hate your guts. They be disrespecting you when you ain't there, talking about like, I can't stand him, but I got to stay because I ain't got nothing else to. And I was just like, I never want to be in no position. I'm like, look, you're good. Me and my wife both make over 200,000. I told her, I was like, hey, the day you don't like me, I'm never going to bad talk you, but there's the door. Like, what I'm saying? So that's why I guess like my boy was telling me, he was like, man, you just got game. That's why you look at life like that. And that's why I'm saying it's a kind of a fear mindset. Oh, go ahead, Stan.
You don't have a scarcity mindset. That's you have very clear direction in what you want, and then you giving options. Like, you're not trapped. You're not telling her she's trapped. I think what I wanted to say, I know M3, you want to say something first. Now I'll come after you, M3. Go ahead.
Are you sure, Stan? Because I was going to just tell like a story, but I got my numbers. Okay. So, and no, I do agree with you on what you said, Stan. I think it's more for sophisticated jerks, and I think it's more of like a sense of realism and just common judgment. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna tell a story, and this involves with 3 women in my life, right? Wait, isn't it 3? 1, 2. Damn, I forgot the name of the other one. But anyways, I'll go with 2 for now, right? Until I remember the other one.
Big pimping over here.
So, and yes, they're all Latina, but sorry, I know some. Anyways, so there's 3 women that I know, right? And the problem is, right, like they're married, but I could kind of sense like they're not happy. And the point where I'm coming from is that, like, okay, each husband, right, they're very successful in their own right. They may be making like, double 6 figures or something. And, meanwhile, the women are, I ain't gonna say they're broke, but they're like middle class or so, or maybe below that. And so with those women that I know, right, they're happy that they're married, but only because like the husband is providing for them. And when you have the resource to provide for them, you're providing the lifestyle. However, the way that they just talk bad about their husbands to me, I just be like, damn, like I'm kind of grateful that I have not been in that type of situation where like you get with a wife or whatever, and now she just talk. Well, you probably ain't gonna know, but you could feel something, right? When someone just doesn't really like you, but they need you because of your resources. And so the way how they talk about their husbands is if they had an opportunity or the right man comes along but was able to provide, they want to hesitate to, like, and I'm not going to say divorce, dump their husbands. They're going to dump them like it was like their boyfriend or so. And it's baffling because it's like, man, like you want to get with someone that is equal to you in your mindset. What we're going to play is that the advice that we hear all the time on the internet, get your money up. Get your money up. Yes, it's cool to get your money up. I would encourage every guy to get their money up. But don't use your money like to try to leverage, to try to gain control over a woman who don't really want to be with you to begin with, but they want to be with you because of your money. See, it's a total difference between the love of a person's character versus the love of a person's wallet. And look, I get, like, if you want to just, like, get some hookers or whatever, or you just trying to, like, do whatever you want to do because you're only living for the moment. But you talking about having like a life partner and you feel like that leverage is going to keep that woman, I'm telling you right now, because those type of broke women, right, makes horrible decisions. When I mean horrible decisions, eventually they're going to leave you and they're going to mess around with a broke dude for a little bit. They're gonna feel liberated. They're gonna feel happy until that money wears out, and then they're gonna go right back into that next rich dude or whatever and be miserable all over again.
I agree with you. Go ahead, Stan. What was your?
Well, my apologies for like interrupting. I just got hyped up, and it was like, oh, I didn't know you.
No, you good, man. Nah, some of this stuff, it's just like, man, I get hyped up too on this stuff because it's just like, man, I want dudes to get the best genuine results, man. And this whole philosophy of like pay for everything. Don't get me wrong. It's just like, man, if say like you get with a woman and the dude is like, okay, you got with me, you was working with me. Okay, we're about to have our kids. Stay at the house. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's earned. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do it, but it's just like it's earned at that point. She ain't coming there dictating to you like, oh, a guy has to do this, or I'm not happy. I'm not going to be in my femininity. That's when you're on some punk shit, because it's just like you accepted her terms. You're not the leader. You could lie to yourself. You could beat your chest like, oh, I'm the leader. But in the same breath, you're like, well, if I don't do this, she's going to resent me. It's like, man, you're caving and you scared of the chick, So it's just like you can't really be too alpha if that's the stance you taking. But go ahead, Stan. Sorry, my bad.
No, you're good. I think the stance I'm taking it from is good. Like we're talking about, and both of us come from divorced households, and nobody check in with the kids of the 80s and 90s and 2000s that came out of divorced households and how that impacted us. Because, when I look at that, I never want a wife to stay home, because nobody looks at that whole thing of like, man, when you're depending on somebody, like you don't have autonomy to move like you want to move, because there's a budget, and the father, the husband, he has to go out there and make the money, and he got to make the money work and last for the family. And here you are watching other women going to work and having some kind of autonomy in their household. You can't say like there's no jealousy that's going to be there, because you don't want to always have your hands out. Now, there's some people out here, and also I'm going to say there's some men that always got their hands out, and it's kind of crazy that you always got to be begging and you enjoying it. But for everybody else, like we grew up in a household where like when that divorce hit, there was a big shift between like when they were married and together, and then there's divorce, and there was some kind of scarcity when there's a divorce, because dad is not home. and it's a different type of feeling, and you just gotta be a lot, mindful of what's going on, and then mom gotta start all over again, right? And that is something like M3, I would say for you, you could reset and bounce back easy, and you're gonna do well in life. So don't think you're starting at zero. It's just a reset for you right now. But if you're like staying at home, taking care of kids and doing all this stuff, and it's been 10, 15 years, it's a lot different. And that's why, like, for me, I get like people want to be house husbands and housewives, and that's their right. But like, let's not play around and let's be real. There were movies like Mr. Mom that was coming up. There were movies like 9 to 5. Like, women wanted to work. There were magazines that was telling women you could be more than just a common housewife, which was an insult, right? Or just a mother. And that's why we are where we are right now. Like, there was this anti staying at home and allowing yourself to be under providership and be under a budget, because saying what could make anybody angry is that somebody tell you no, and all you know is like, I want to go to the movies. What you mean no? I did everything I was supposed to do. I want to go to movies, not thinking about, we just bought a dishwasher, I just put this stuff on a credit card, we had a vacation. So the reality, I think, a lot of times is people are not honest. Like, I remember, forgot her name. She does stuff for Oprah, and that woman who
Gayle King.
No. It's something with the V. She talks to that lady about, would you date a bus driver?
Damn.
Vianna Van Zant or something like that.
No. Oh yeah, Ileana.
Yeah, Ileana. Yeah, Van Zant. Somebody was married to one of Jackson's kids. I think it was like the third generation, right? And she didn't know how her husband made money. And mind you, the kids were old enough to go to school and she can go to work. And they were like 10, 12. So she can go to work, but she didn't want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, that's a high grand privilege that you're doing right now. Like, you need to work. Staying at home is not healthy.
It ain't. And
mentally is not good, because you do need to be around peers. You need to exercise your brain. Kids, here's something about us as kids, right? The goal for you as a parent is for us to be less dependent on you. The goal for you is not to always be around, hovering over me as a child. You could do your stuff and do controlled environment, that's fine. But a 10-year-old is not a toddler. A 15-year-old is not a toddler. An 18-year-old is not a toddler. Some of y'all staying home in y'all 30s, maybe y'all need, but that's not a toddler. That's not the goal, to always stay, because it's not healthy for you as the adult. You got to be around your peers. You need a little pocket money. You should. There's a different feeling that you feel. Even as a kid, when I got my first paycheck, I'm like, I got this. I don't need your money. I can go to movies. Bye. I mean, like, what's up with this anti-autonomy? And then you want to sit down as a full-grown adult to sit down and pout and put your hands out.
Well, it just boils back, like we were saying earlier. It's just like, man, if somebody, they can't be a female because they have to be an adult and contribute to their house, they're running game on you. Because like I said, it's just like, hey, they're out here dating. Dude ain't paying their bills. They getting smashed. So they're coming to you like, hey, you have to do all this for me to treat you right. Even though I'm doing all this shit and the bill they ain't getting paid. It's the most disrespectful shit if you are a guy that got some pride and got some game. Because it's just like, I know what's going on. Because I was out here part of this. So it's just like, I ain't pay no goddamn bills when I was doing this shit. So it's just like, I'm not going to accept that type of deal because I got confidence.
Yeah.
And then even a good woman is not going to set you up for that. Because like I said, my wife, I asked her, I was like, hey, man, I hear all these females saying this shit. I was like, why are you cool with doing a 50-50? She was like I said before, she's like, hey, man, I like you. And how can I sit there, go to work and not be willing to contribute to my own house? she was like, man, I'll feel like a piece of shit, you know, doing that. She was like, I like spending time with you. I'm not about to put all this stuff on your back when I could go work in a easy job in the office. She was like, man, it's not like I'm out here pouring concrete and shit. So she was like, man, they ain't like the old days when they were working on farms, the females and stuff. So she was like, nah, she was like, man, they running game, because shouldn't no woman that actually like her man be tripping about like working and contributing to the house. And going back to the females I work with, man, the ones that are the people that are working together, they're running laps around everybody else. These are the ones that's getting to the millionaire status, where it's just like, man, their kids are going to private school because they got that extra income. They're getting tutors for their kids. You know, they're investing, so they're building up, so they're going to get to retirement faster. Like, because the one couple that we learned to do the 50-50 from, she was like a CFO, husband was successful. Man, they had a lake property, regular house was big as fuck. They retired at like early 50s. They traveling, they did it like just got back from a 30-day Europe hike. And this is what I'm saying. And this is the difference between people that have that winning mindset. They're not looking at it from like, oh my God, if she works and she makes money, she's going to disrespect me. They're like, look, we come together, we do this right, man, we going to get that 1% and we going to win. Our kids are going to win, our legacy. So yeah, they just doing it smart.
And again, a lot of y'all paying 100% y'all bills.
And broke as hell.
Cold, yep. And your feet is cold, and nobody's giving you nothing but for Christmas, except for Ebenezer Scrooge, but give y'all the Christmas Carol. Like, come on, man. Like,
yeah, it's dumb. And then it's just like, you know, the dudes that keep on, it's just like, man, you're paying everything, and she leaves, she takes half your shit, because now that she don't have a job, she's entitled to, you know, alimony and an attachment to you. Whereas like if y'all both was working, you could just split the assets and be done. So that's the other thing to it.
SJ, sadly, I use the fear tactic with my friends. I'm like, imagine this. Everything that you work for, forget the divorce. You might be deleted. And here is
you talking about some
Dell banging your wife all over the stuff that you work hard for. And he's spending your money.
Yeah, you went to what's that one TV channel where they be getting them dudes be getting burnt? I forgot the name of it.
And sending your kids off to the projects while he's out with your wife and getting her pregnant with his legacy and taking all your money because you refuse to work out. You refuse to let her go ahead and work, and they just go ahead and use you. And he's just pouring a Coke 45 on your side of the bed, telling you to drink up.
Yeah, before we get back to the video, the one last thing, because man, I do like AMS, man, and I do think he gives like a lot of solid advice. So I just had to give pushback on here, because the whole purpose is, man, I want people to start working together. It's like times change, because even back in the old days, like I'm 45 at this point, man, my parents we didn't have cell phones. They had one car for the house. We didn't have the big ass cable packages and internet. So that's probably like, you look at that collectively, that's probably like $1,500 they didn't have to account for. So it's like, man, you know, that's what people don't factor in. We got a lot more costs. Females ain't as simple as they are. My parents wasn't doing no luxury trips. You know what I'm saying? That was non-existent. So it's just like, when you factor in all the extra ask, nobody's winning. And that's why everybody's still trapped into like lower middle class and stuff, especially for like our community. It's just like, hey, man, we're at the bottom of the pack. Asians are at the highest income levels, and they're working together. And they're like,
man, they ain't even doing 50-50. They're doing 100%. We all working.
Yeah. But I mean, even the 50-50, like people get it mistaken. They're like, oh, it's not 100%. It's like, no, it's just, it makes sure that both of y'all could top off your 401k plans, but everything rolls up to the house anyway. So it's technically 100.
But it's not even the husband and wife. The kids are working. Grandma.
Oh, working, yeah. No, they do. Because it's funny you said that, Stan, because I was talking to the people that own the cleaners, and I was just like, hey, because his mom does the alterations in the front. His wife is like managing the back. She's doing the pressing. His kids be up in there on the weekends. He's like, ain't no free rides in here. He's like, everybody works. He's like, that shit they talking about?
Yeah, I was working. Like, he put me to work. Like, he on the store. I was always working. Like, everybody worked. My mom, but because my brother had autism, she had to quit. working, and he needed 24/7 care, but like she also worked in the community. Both parents worked because one money was for this, the other set of money was for like the college funds and savings, and that was it. And we saw it, and then we meet as a family. Like, look, nobody ain't getting no Jordans. Like, what you talking about? It's 6 of us in this house. Like,
but the one guy I was talking to, it was funny because I was just like, so do you pay everybody salaries? He was like, man, they eat food in this house. He got offended. He was like, I don't pay no salaries. He's like, look, it all roll up to the house. He's like, look, they eat. They got a house over their head. So yeah, he was like, everybody work. He had his mother, like I said, she was in the front. But one last thing. So just getting back to AMS.
Yeah.
And this is where it ties into the confidence. And this is where a lot of times dudes ain't going to get online and say this stuff that they lack a little bit of confidence sometimes. And it's just like, man, we all are human. Some people build a little faster than others, but just think of it like this. I'm going to try to give an analogy. So guys that have confidence, that's like, will approach a chick that say like, look, you're going to do a 50-50. You're going to work with me. I'll walk off. Guys like that see themselves as like Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, the top Fortune 500 companies. So it's like the CEOs of them companies ain't going to the new hire and be like, hey, how do you want to run the company? They're like, look, you lucky I'm even talking to you. You might have to take a free internship. You ain't dictating shit. You got to probably like 10,000 applicants applying for those positions because, you know, you got that prestige. But a lot of times when guys don't have that confidence, they treating them shit like a corner store, the bodega, a hot dog cart. So it's like, damn near, you got to go to the new hire and damn near beg them for a job. Like, oh, you only want to work 3 days a week, 2 hours? Yeah, whatever you want. Just please come work for me. So it's like you're moving out of desperation. So it's like, that's why you got to get your mindset right. And that's one things we don't talk about on enough of these lives, where it's just like, man, it's okay, you're hitting the gym, you're getting your money up, but is your mind right? Why don't you see yourself as like the Microsoft and all that stuff, where you could go to a female and be like, look, I'm fly as hell. I put this work in. You need to align with me. And guess what? We both can win. You don't take that deal, I'm good. Where you ain't got to move out of the rest and stop treating yourself like y'all bodega, like you gas station that sell hot dogs.
People get to college though. Don't knock out the bodegas though.
No, I mean, but it's just how people view themselves. It's like, man, I see myself as a Fortune 500 company, and I move as such. I ain't taking those subpar deal. You fucking with me, you gonna work at this, and we gonna win.
Could it be because all three of us, right? 1, 2, 3, we did grow up with our fathers in the household. Mm-hmm. Could it be that men who never saw that interaction don't know how to do it? There's things like my father would talk to my mother, and yes, she could be upset, but it was okay. Like, I seen that, and I learned, like, it's okay to settle and to sit in that. Like, yes, what I have to say is not easy, but I'm going to sit here and stand my ground because it's important. I think for men who never saw that applied before, subconsciously can't handle that because they'll bend.
I don't think that's it, man. I just think prior generations, man, they pitched a lot like, you need to do this, and they sucked it up. So I even think like the married dudes was like, back then, they pitched a lot of simp stuff. And I just think I just really think it's on a person, man, your confidence level, where it's just like, and also your intellect, where you're just able to break down stuff like, this don't make no sense. We gonna work together because, hey, look, it's a new day. I'm not scared to buck this system, because it's just like, you know, I'm not gonna sit there, take this on, and that way we both not, like I said, topping off retirement plans. I'm not gonna be hands off, where it's just like, oh, you do what you want with your money, and then you come to find out she ain't saving shit, you know. So it's just like, I think you gotta be like, you gotta have a level of intelligence to be like, look, I'm not trying to be your parent, but you're not about to sink us because you want this like old societal thing that they were doing in like medieval times and shit. So yeah, I don't think it has nothing to do with the parent, because I think honestly, I seen so many dudes that were in the household and they had that same mindset, like happy wife, happy life. So I think, yeah, I just don't think it's it. My bad, M3, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say was, and Stan, I know you got to go like in a few minutes though.
Yeah.
I'll make it quick. I will say this though, right? It depends like on the father, or the parent, because at times, like, look, man, like there's parents that can actually give like really great sounding advice and direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's parents that, because you have to understand, like, if the father was like a simp or a loser himself, you're gonna create like a loser. That loser is gonna be your seed. And I know a lot of losers that is unfortunate, they have kids or whatever, and I could tell their kids is going to be far worse. Or maybe they might be better and surpass the father and not be like him, hopefully. But I would say for us three or whatever, from my perception, from you guys, the way how you guys carry yourselves, and you guys have your fathers as well too, I will think that you guys, have strong fathers, or at least fathers that were maybe in between, that will give you, although they may not give you the best financial advice, because you got to kind of think about it. We grew up in the 80s and 90s era, mostly around the 90s era. So our parents was basically more flamboyant, just, they wasn't really investing in doing our stuff. We had to learn that stuff on our own.
Yeah.
But when it came down to social grounds, understanding about the matrix of life, our dads was definitely in central, because they was not afraid to sell themselves. They was not afraid to talk to people and have conflict resolutions. So those are the things that I will take upon relationship wise. Yes, my dad is definitely, top tier as far as like giving like certain advice that definitely helped guide me along the way, where I could implement my own way of thinking, natural way of thinking, and say, well, you know what? As long as I have my father has been helping me to stay grounded, as far as like trying to be like to avoid being a simp or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, let me utilize my skill or talent to focus on bettering myself, while at the same time, if cheeks come along my way, don't turn them down, embrace it and spread it. But stay focused on your purpose.
The three always going to add the cheeks in.
Still work on my certification, but
But real quick, just Stan, before you, I know you got to head out and stuff, but man, I just think the parents got to have financial literacy. I don't care if it's the mom, dad. I think if the parents have that financial literacy and they embed that in their kids, then that's when it will work out. Because I'll give you an example. Like, even though I operate in a certain way, my son can observe and see that. The person who makes sure that he understands like 50-50 and not to be a sucker, man, my wife be like, look, don't get no female that's going to use you. Hey, if she don't work with you and she ain't willing to build and she treats you with respect and let you lead and stuff, she was like, don't mess with her. My wife is harsh. She be telling my son, so my son's 23. He got like his girlfriend, man, his girlfriend be like dropping off food to him. And I was even talking to my son earlier. I was like, hey man, we gonna review that AMS video, because he watches his videos too.
Yeah.
And he was just like, hey, yeah, if a female ain't rocking with me and she ain't working with me, he was like, I don't even entertain it. So he's 23 with his mindset. But his mom is like, nah, you work with somebody, like, don't fall for that shit that you got to do all this stuff. There's females out there that are willing to work with you. And she works in the healthcare field. So she's coming across women that, too, like I do, like, hey, they make good money. They working with their man. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of people that say that this don't exist, it's just like, you might not just be in a professional setting where you see females that are working with people.
Yeah, and you got to explain that on your taxes, because if you are married, right, and your spouse somehow got $200,000 saved up and you don't know about it, and it yield a return and you didn't include it in your taxes, yo, oof.
No, but I think most people, they will record it in their taxes. But like when I'm looking at the finances, the biggest thing that they do is just like I said, it's like the guy won't take on the burden of the bills. So typically, like to offset paying everything, he's only putting like 4 to 5% into retirement. So he's like way behind. So like he's not putting in the full amount. Then the wife, she's only putting in 4 to 5% of her retirement.
So
and then she got all the money going to a saving. Nah, for real, man. When I'm looking at it, I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? You know, I'm like, y'all need to be topping both of y'all stuff up because, you know, you guys don't have pensions. Like with me, I got a pension and a 401k plan. You know, so I'm like, you need to be topping this stuff off. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm looking at her finances. I'm like, okay, what's the savings account? Because you're saying you're saving the money. They have it in a basic savings account where, you know, the savings account, what you get like 5 cents every. So I'm like, man, y'all just like losing money, man, with this old school like way of thinking and shit. So it's just like, yeah, I think I understand it makes everybody comfortable, but it's like, you know, with a high yield account, you're getting like 4 or 5%. So it's just like, when I calculate the numbers from, I'm like, see, man, this is what your finances could look like if you would stop looking at it from like, oh, he has to do this and I have to do this. It's like, man, you could end up gaining $1 million if you operate like this. Cause I calculated it for this one couple. I'm like, if y'all did it like this way, you'll gain an additional like $1 million. Your retirement accounts would be like a 1 million a piece. So you'll be exiting the retirement thing with about $3 million. And their face just froze up.
Can I add one more thing to this?
Go ahead.
I know people going to sit back and use this and say, well, these 3 black men. I'm like, yo, you know also who showed me 50-50? The white couples from the 90s, because they were building together. When I was growing up, they were like, she paid half the rent, he paid half the rent. They paid them cable bills, everything. They paid their other bills. They were able to buy a house in the Bay Area, California, not LA. We're up north. We're a little snooty. We're closer to the sun. We're on hills and stuff. They were able to buy houses.
Yeah.
They were able to go on vacation. They bought rental property on the East Coast. And they went 50-50 because guess what? She also worked. I think what they call dinks. That's what they call them now.
Yeah, dinks. Like if you go to CNBC, man, they literally got a whole channel where they show like couples like retiring early. Cause I'm gonna start doing breakdowns on those and stuff. They're winning, man. They're like invested with each other. And that's why I'm saying like a lot of people that have this mindset, it's like, man, y'all losing because of ignorance. Because and ego, really, that's all that stuff is. And like you were saying, Stan, like that was the couple. They were white. They're like majority of the people I work with. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. They're not listening to everybody, but go ahead. You about to?
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying it's just like you even look at the who's becoming the fastest group of millionaires. It's literally people that's working and like just paying off debt and investing. That's one of the largest groups that's becoming because they're working with each other. So the numbers even show you like, hey, man, like it's not that hard, honestly, to become a millionaire, but it's just like the mental roadblocks most people put in place and they stick to old school stuff instead of adapting and changing and getting the knowledge.
Yeah, like I want to go for brunch. No, you don't get no more brunch.
Yeah,
there's
we gonna cook these Legos at the house and be happy.
Okay, barbecue. Like there's no. Hey guys, no more club. Y'all too old.
But all right, I'm gonna get back to the video. I know you probably got to drop off, Stan, but
all right, thanks, guys.
All right, man, take it easy, bro.
All right, take care.
It's you asking for problems in that relationship. Okay, I'm telling you, you asking for issues in there. Even though y'all make the same amount of money, you be still better off going 75-25 just to keep her in that feminine energy, right? I'm just telling you, do the hell you want to do. You know what? Make it 75-25 her way. Right? You want to play 25. Do the fuck you want to do. I'm just telling you biology, motherfucker. You can do the hell you want to do. All right? So, but getting back to my point, it's going to be hard if she saw her father pay.
And just real quick, the issue with the whole biology argument, nobody talks about biology in divorce court when you got to pay all them goddamn alimony and shit. So that's why I tell people like, I don't care about none of them arguments. You gonna work with me or you're not. Like I'll be by myself because I've seen enough people go to court. Females are like, hey, you know what? I only took like I only contributed 20%. You know, biology. Nobody makes some arguments in the divorce court. You ask Kevin Costner, ask Hugh Jackman, the guys that paid everything and got flushed for millions. That shit don't come up. So don't biology don't exist in divorce court. Y'all better stop playing.
Return your investment. It ain't worth it.
Yeah. Shit. Y'all keep falling for these old school arguments and shit. Y'all better adapt and get some goddamn game.
All the bills. Now, here's the issue we have with women, right? They forget the other side of that coin, as in with traditionalism, right? They only speak on the father part of being traditional, but they don't forget about the mother submissiveness or the grandmother's submissiveness to grandpa. They forget all about that. They still want everything we do in this relationship. They want you to value their opinion and they want to have input into shit, but they forget mom and grandma, they let daddy lead. They let grandpa lead. So in the words of Marlo, you want it one way. You want it traditional on my end, but then on your end, you want to be non-traditional. You want to be a modern woman, but you don't want me to be a modern man. See, you can't have it both ways. So that's the issue I found with women, is that they want that traditionalism, but then they want to be modern when it gets down to who voicing an opinion in the household. Mama didn't have no opinion. Daddy paid the cost to be the boss. All right. And so that's just going to really boil down to, guys, her upbringing. A lot of the times as into what she saw. Now, I'm going to give y'all the caveat to that too also now. If she saw that traditionalism as in dad being too overbearing and having too much control, that can cause her to not want a traditional relationship. If the daddy was like, like I tell y'all guys not to be a dictator, right? So if she had a dad that pretty much just like he had too much control in the relationship, right? Then that can cause her to not want to be that because she don't want that. So you have a lot of women these days that grew up in that type of household, and that's why they want to make their own money because they saw how the father had too much control in the relationship. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to remember. Somebody told me.
You froze up a little bit.
I remember my dad asked me about this woman that I know, right? And I was actually kind of surprised they asked me this question, right? Because I didn't think he was so keen on this. But he asked me, what is the woman's family dynamic? What is her upbringing? And I thought it was a good question. But again, sometimes I think like, because he's so old school, I wouldn't think that would come to his mind, I would think that would be like now these days some like new generation type of question, But it's important to like really ask a person about her upbringing, a person's relationship with her father or mother, but mostly like mainly like her father, because you want to know like, okay, what type of woman you're about to get yourself into. Now this is like for guys who's like, trying out relationships. So if you're trying to get like a long-term relationship with a woman, these type of questions is important because, again, if her father was like, controlling, she didn't have a good relationship with her dad, you're gonna have to kind of assume like the worst of her. You know what I mean? It's not a fair way to judge, but in order for you to protect yourself, you got to ask like, okay, how she is like when it comes to managing money. How is she? Like, is she a big spender, or is she conservative with her savings? Do she have her mind right? Doesn't matter if she's a single mom or not. I know, women. Actually, it was a Puerto Rican woman that I know who I know, like, she's obviously like a fucking walking red flag. Like the worst thing you could say to me is that, man, like, you don't know how to manage money. And I remember she was telling me like, if I had this money, I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. Because for me, I love to shop a lot, and I love to spin. And I'm like, yeah, that will be an L for me if I ever got into a serious relationship with that person. Because if all your life you've been with a person that was providing for you, again, this ties all back around to being a provider male. She was married to this guy for like maybe 15 plus years. Yeah, she had her own job or whatever, but the guy was making more than her, and he was always providing. He provided for his families, for his children, and mainly for herself. Wherever she wanted, he was always willing to give it to her. But it still wasn't enough. She, in the end, she reconnected with her childhood best friend, cheated on her husband, went through the whole process and initiated the divorce. Went through the whole process of going through the divorce, losing all of your financial benefits. Well, she still got for like child support or whatever, I guess alimony. So she didn't really lose that much. Just to be with this one dude who eventually still went crazy and left you. My case in point is that all this being said is that, look, you could take their advice and you could think that you leveraging your wallet is going to keep this person, it's going to have this woman to submit to you. But if you was never really that type of dude that she really strongly desired, like, she going to just take you to the cleaners in the end of it. And she's still going to leave you for a broke dude. The person who she was with, he ain't got no job. He's man, I can't even really say it, man. You know, because maybe
you hit some good points, because man, that's the sad thing, man. I think as guys, man, we, like I said, men put so much ego into stuff, and it's just like, man, no, I can't be me. And it's critical, like you said, man. You got to get the girl that likes you,
right? And
that's not even foolproof. That probably like softens the blow. But it's just like, man, if you being realistic, man, and if you're a smart guy, and you know, I try not to say certain things because, man, I hate taking swipes at guys like masculinity and stuff. So that's why even a lot of the 50-50 conversations, I honestly didn't want to have them. Because like I said, I know who I am inside. I know how my structure is. Like, even till recently, I ain't tell people I was in the 1% till like we just started having conversations and shit. So it's just one of those things where, and I always big up my wife. I'm like, man, me and her work together. That's how we got in that position. You know, but it's just one of the things you got to recognize as a guy. It's just like, when you dealing with a woman, because a lot of times we always say they're operating off a little emotion versus logic sometimes. That's just fact. Man, you have to understand that there's a good possibility they might want to leave. And you have to be cool with that. So if you're a smart guy, how I looked at it, I saw a bunch of people with me. Because like I said, I grew up around a lot of traditional people. They got divorced, whether it was my family, friends. So I was just like, I ain't trying to be in them shoes. And also, I don't want nobody to be in a bad state when they leave me. Like, and being, you know, because it's like most people, if most 75% are, I forgot the number, it's around that, are making under 100,000, you're not going to be able to pay a lot of money.
Right.
So it's like, even the females in that case, like if you're getting something, it's like, man, you're going to be in poverty. You don't have a job. So it's like, I don't even want to leave nobody in that hole either. So it's just like, look, me and my wife had these discussions. This is like, hey, most people get divorced, don't like each other. That's just the numbers are the numbers. Not saying that's got to be us. Let's work on being better, but let's both put ourselves in a good capacity, work with each other. And hey, we don't like each other. You're not going to be sitting there. You don't got to be with me out of like necessity. Like I said, so, I mean, majority of the females, you can't even bank on like if they grew up in a good household, had their father in there. Because, man, some of the most grimiest females, and one of them comes to mind, was a girl whose dad was a pastor.
Oh, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like, man, nothing is foolproof. Like, there's some certain things like, help out to look at? Absolutely. But I'm just saying the most critical thing is that female has to like you. She has to respect you from the jump. She can't be there because she wants a financial gain. And I think if you eliminate those, you got the best probability. Because like even my wife, we've been together for 20 years. Like I said, she makes 200,000 at any moment. She makes more than most dudes. So she don't have to be here if she don't want to. Grew up without a father in the home. So that's why I'm saying, like, none of this stuff is foolproof. I get it. They are good metrics to weigh out, but it's not 100%. And so that's why I'm getting back to like what he's saying. It's just like, no, man, you got to find the female that this got to be embedded in dudes' minds, man. Because I see so many guys is like in La La Land. Oh, I'm different from everybody else. It's like, nah, you're not. You know. So I agree with you what you were saying, but it's just like I get the whole mantra of like, oh, she's got to come from this type of family. I'm like, y'all better look at them numbers. The women that are getting the most alimony is a lot of cases white women that came from like 2-parent homes, and they cleaning them dudes out, man. Like,
right?
Yeah.
So that's the reality with it
too. But by and large, if the daddy wasn't a dictator, like if mama, y'all guys go get what I'm saying. I don't want to say it, right? But you know, some fathers took the shit too far, right? And the mama couldn't go nowhere. The mama couldn't do anything. Y'all guys get what I'm saying. Y'all had, you know, I make the money, so just sit in the house, don't go nowhere, don't do nothing. So some women want their independence and not have to rely totally on a man. And so they don't want to put themselves in that position. But my issue with it is if the women want to work, but then don't want to contribute. And see, then therein lies an issue. So you want to have your own money, but not contribute. See, mama and grandma, they didn't work, and dad made all the money. But these women these days, we both gonna work. I'm gonna have my money. You pay all the bills. That's some bullshit right there. That's some bullshit. All right, guys. So, like I said, guys, it's just gonna believe on her upbringing, right? She traditional.
So he was spitting some facts to a certain degree. Like both of my grandmothers worked. They like had one side 8 kids, 6 kids, and man, they would still come home, take care of the family, and work. And I was talking to other people, and a lot of people's like, nah. Looking back, yeah, my grandmothers worked too, and they ain't had no washer and dryer, no dishwasher, and they were still able to be feminine in the house. So that's what I'm saying. Even when you look back in the past, man, a lot of old school people were working too. So that's what I'm saying. And still was able to like still be feminine and uphold the house. So sometimes that's what I'm saying. We got to start realizing like, man, we got washers and dryers. We got all these modern conveniences.
Yeah.
So life is so much easier, but people are still like, oh, I can't, if I have to do a little bit of chores in the house, I can't be nice to you. I respect you. It's bullshit, because like when you even look at I'll say old school times and stuff, people were literally like farming their own food, men and women. So that's why they typically had that like men and women roles, because it's like, okay, shit, you gotta press my clothes, you gotta wash and clean them, you know, hang them up on the dryer. It's like damn near a 3-day process. So this stuff was like labor extensive. Nowadays, it ain't like that. So, you know, that's why I'm saying a lot of this stuff is just corny and it's just pure manipulation at this point, because it's just like, ain't nobody that has to go sit in the little basic cubicle with some AC is telling me that that is harder than what women had to do in the past, where they was like actually working on a farm, cooking and cleaning everything from scratch. They couldn't go to the store and buy like all this stuff that's already damn near, you just add water and shit. And it like washer and dryer. You just throw the clothes in there, and we got the robots where that it sweeps your floor and shit. So it's just like y'all telling me like you're gonna be like in an uproar because you gotta work a little bit. It's just nonsense. So I think, like he said, you know, if you are trying to go to work and you ain't trying to contribute to your house, that's crazy. So I'm glad he did at least spit that out.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's what like men has to start like kind of like throwing back at some of these like women that be saying this, that, oh, I want a traditional man. So that man need to go out and work and provide while I get to keep my money. Yeah, I would declare that to be BS, because the thing is that, yeah, our grandparents, yeah, they may not have the greatest amount, but whatever they had, they still contribute to the household. That money that these women make, and especially have kids by this man, use that money to save up on your son or daughter's college tuition. Save that money up to invest or something. You know what I mean? Or at least put something in that can help, put something down for the household, so that way you can sustain yourself as a family. See, the thing is, back then, both men and women acted traditionally because they knew the code, they knew the system, they knew the opposition against us versus the whites or whatever, and they needed to do wherever they could to survive. Somewhere down the line, Black folks just got a little bit too comfortable, and they didn't follow up through the code system, which is unfortunate. And now you do have other people who I think kind of emulate the Black family lifestyle back then traditionally. Now they're applying their own traditions in the United States, and you can see the fruits of their labor off the backs of us, because we once had that, and we once showed what it looks like when Black families get together and it was all on one accord. Now it's you have the Latins, the Asians, or whatever type of families that's doing the same things that we once did. Well, I'll say that our grandparents once did. And so to put that, emulate that in modern times, we got to kind of stop this thinking of that we need to just be the sole providers in order for us to please them and get them to respect us. Look, I'm going to put it like this. Bitch, if you don't respect me or whatever, right, you could find some other person, right, that's going to treat you the way how you deserve to be treated. I'm going to just only use one bitch word this time around, but that's about it. I haven't used it for a long time.
Nah, you was cooking, man. And that's the thing. It's almost like instead of you know what, this is the guy that I'm supposed to take this oath with, and it's supposed to mean something. This is going to be my husband. I want to work with this person. Like I said, I'm going to give him the best deal. We're going to work together. We're going to pay down our debt. We could pay down our house quicker. It's almost like people are looking to take advantage of somebody instead of a reciprocal relationship. So it's like everybody, they can't come out and say hey, I want things my way so I could gain, and I'm gonna put this all on you. You take this burden so I could gain, and if I ever want to leave, I'm gonna bounce and I'm gonna be whole.
Right.
And like you said, it's just man, there's other people, cultures and stuff that's working together. So like you said, say even if the guy's taking on a bulk of the bills, they're either investing or they're putting that extra money towards the house and paying the house down in 10 years. So if you pay your house down in 10 years, you save yourself $500,000. So that's why I'm saying a lot of smart people, they understand if we work together, our money is going to make money. So it's okay, if we have bills, guess what? We wipe out all our debt and our bills. We don't have nothing to even talk about anymore. Because, that's how me and my wife worked. We're shit. We work together. We get rid of all of our major bills. Man, we're just putting money's coming to our pocket anyway. So right now, me and my wife have basic bills, but our money comes to our pocket. So we're just now we're just okay, put this in the high yield account. I'll invest this. Man, let's go on vacation again. We're just chilling. So now we eat out more. We're just kicking it. We go to the movies all the goddamn time. So that's where people they look so short term. Where it's just hey, let me only gain. Fuck my husband and us working together and wiping out these bills so we both can enjoy each other's company. It's just so one-sided, and that's why I'm saying, guys, with these messages and stuff, it's not working, because it's just even the females, they think they're gaining. It's just okay, you leave with 40,000 that lasts you about a good years, and you still got all that debt. It's just so ass backwards and stuff. So I'm glad you said that stuff, M3, because yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, thanks. No problem.
Yeah, I do give AMS props for saying yeah, y'all trying to work and not contribute. That's crazy. So I'm with him on that. Let me get back to the video.
You know.
And I'll probably in a little bit, I'm gonna jump to that 12-minute mark because that's where he was just like, he kind of went off.
Traditional, had a healthy relationship, she's gonna want that traditional. If she had a father that was too overbearing, she's probably gonna want to be non-traditional because she ain't gonna want you to control the relationship like that.
Oh, just one last thing. He did kind of slip up, and this was where a little bit of the contradiction, because he was just like, hey, if you pay everything, she don't have an opinion. But then on the flip side, he was just like, well, you don't want to be a dictator and kind of like dictate everything and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So he's trying to talk on both sides. It's like, that's the reality. I don't care if you're paying 100% or you're doing 50-50. Mm-hmm. You're going to have your wife's input on certain things. Nobody's just going to be like, hey, I'm moving there, shut up and come along. Because at the end of the day, I don't care if a female's under 50-50 and she's under 100%. She could go to the courthouse and get a divorce. And honestly, if she's under 100%, she's got a little bit more leverage when she gets a divorce because they're going to assess like how much she makes, you know, where she's at, like education level. And it's just like, if she's a stay at home and she don't got none of that stuff where she could go out and work, they're like, you got to fund all that. So say if like she was under a 50-50, like for example, me and my wife is got a master's degree, high paying job. They're going to be like, y'all just divide the assets and he ain't paying no alimony because you're already out there. So that's why, you know, a lot of times when I'm telling people, I'm like, dude, you ain't got no leverage because once you get in there and she's getting between the child support and alimony, if she ain't working, hey, one of my boys, I seen his payments. It's ferocious. He was like, because me and him used to argue about a lot of this stuff. He was like, no, man, you're supposed to do this. This dude called me up when he got hit with all the finances he got to pay out. He was like, never again. He was like, I'm always going to have a chick that work. My man make high money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he was like, nah. He's like, yeah, I ain't doing that shit again. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. He kind of, this where AMS, he kind of double talked on this one. Because it's just like, hey, if you said you pay everything, then, you know, he was like, oh, she should have an opinion. But now he's like, hey, you can't be a dictator because she will leave and, you know, not want to do this. So that's what I'm saying. This is like, man, in any circumstance, you're going to get some input from your wife. And then if she's even more, I'll say intelligent, because that's what I'm saying. I emphasize, like, I got a woman that had intelligence and maneuver like I had, understood money, and was like, we're not going to blow it. We're big on saving and investing. So, man, my wife, I'm like, hey, handle that. Makes things more efficiency. I'm like, knock that out. So my wife is actually even cheaper than I am. Sometimes I'm like, look, we're going to blow this money. She's like, nah, maybe we should save it. I'm like, I'm blowing it. God damn it.
Number two, guys, this is going to you as far as a 50-50 relationship working. Are you okay with not having a submissive woman? See, now I'm going to throw it back to you as with Marlo. You want it one way, but it's the other way. And what I mean by that, guys, is you cannot get a submissive woman with her paying bills. It just doesn't work that way. Let me put it to you guys like this here, as with a 50-50 relationship. Because he ain't asked me 75-25. He asked me 50-50, right? A woman can be submissive to a man who's paying the majority, you know, 75-80% of the bills. I do believe a woman can be submissive in that situation, but that wasn't the question. The question was 50-50. Let me ask y'all guys something. Me and you start a business. We both got the same amount of money into this business, but you don't want me to have no input as in the decisions of that business. That ain't gonna work. So y'all guys got to understand, a man's nature is to have a submissive woman that lets him lead. Guys, that is the best formula for a healthy relationship. A submissive woman and a man that's in his natural masculine essence to lead that relationship. When you start to get into that 50-50 bullshit, what you start to enter in is a shared leadership role. That doesn't work. You need a primary decision maker in that household. Now, I typically find 75-80% will give you that.
Hold on. Let me finish it out.
Oh,
so now you have to ask yourself, and this goes to you: are you okay with her having, like, it not being a complete leader on the team? Are you okay with that? Because I don't think those are happy relationships. Not on your end. I want to be that leader in the relationship. I want to be. So if y'all, like I told y'all guys, when I stayed in the basement, yes, when I fuck with girls, I still, you know, pay for stuff, but they pay for stuff, but I paid for the majority. I would say 75, 80% of it, just so I can stay in that leadership role. Okay, guys? So I'm just putting that out.
And I just wanted to finish it out.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead, M3. I know you wanted to.
No, I'm gonna make it very quick. So, okay, he's still talking about you got to have this leverage in order for you, or you can't do the 50-50 thing, but then yet, you know, you got to be in a position where you have more control, leadership control. Well, here's the thing. You find a woman who's open to listen. You got to find people who are coachable. So meaning that, look, I may not have a substantial amount of money or whatever, but the thing is, I'm still in control to dictate whether we're going to go 50-50 or not. So I don't care how much she's making or how much I'm making. When we come in this relationship, it is going to be 50-50. That's the initial start of my control. It doesn't mean anything about, oh, she's going to be a leader now because she's putting, no. It's that I'm using the best of my knowledge to make sure that she don't blow her money and waste on some favorite stuff. That's all.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. And that's why when I started off, I'm like, when he started off wrong, and that's his issue. Solid guy, but like I said, there's still levels to shit. And this ain't even a knock at like a lot of guys, because man, this is where men were. I'm telling you, I grew up with cousins with game. They always had like real favorable. Yeah.
Okay. You was losing me for a second.
Oh, okay. No, I grew up with cousins that had a lot of game, and one of the things, I never put my ego in shit, because once I saw that they had favorable results, I adapted my philosophy, and I was like, I want to operate like that, because like just an example, my cousin, he could walk in a room and like video vixens, because he was in the music industry. So we go into clubs and stuff, and they all on him. Didn't have to pay shit, and he would just blow them off. So we're just like, damn, man, you know, the girls he would mess with, they were cute, but they weren't, you know, the video vixens. So we're looking at it because we're 16 at the time, enamored by beauty and shit like that, pedestalizing certain things. And we're like, yo, man, why aren't you going for them? Why are you just getting the cute chicks? So one day we were up in his like condo and shit. We're hanging out, and his girlfriend came up there, and she's just like, hey, you know, when we was at the mall, you know, I saw you looking at this, and you didn't buy it. So here you go. I just wanted to get that for you. And man, it was just like bags of like luxury shit. So we're looking at it. We're like, damn, she bought all that for you, and you didn't ask or nothing. And he was like, hey, man, this is why I always try to tell y'all want those like video vixens. He's like, I mess with chicks that like me. I switched that day. I'm like, I want a chick that's gonna, because, you know, like I said, he didn't like try to like take advantage of nobody, but they liked him so much. They were like, I'm gonna take care of you. You take care of me. Reciprocal. And that's where a lot of guys don't understand, man. And, you know, he always kept himself in the gym, fly and stuff like that. So it's like, man, when you put that work in and stuff like that, and you select the right women that like you, it's like, man, you don't have to pay for your leadership. So like what you were saying, M3, it's just like, nah, when I'm coming to you from this terms, first of all, I don't have that duress mindset. So if you're not going to respect me, you're not even going to be in my vicinity. So time you show some disrespect, I'm moving on. I don't tolerate that at all. So that's why I'm saying a lot of times when guys start saying stuff like this, it's like, man, you expose your mindset. You expose how you see yourself. So that's why I gave the analogy, like dudes that got confidence and stuff like that, have always had like good relationships with women because they don't tolerate disrespect. I don't care if they're paying 50, whatever. They see themselves as the Microsoft, Apple, Tesla. They don't see themselves as, like I said, the corner store. So in his case, he's like, hey, man, I always paid this amount. But what he did, he kind of slipped up again, where he's just like, you know, when I was always paying with these females, he used plural, which meant like them shits ain't work out. Even though you're paying, you still had the same outcome as like they left for whatever reason. And there's no issue with that because it's like, hey, if they are disrespectful, you do need to move on and get them type of chicks out your vicinity. But then again, it undercuts your position because it's like, okay, if you are paying all that, the bulk of this stuff, why aren't they happy? You know what I'm saying? Why do you even have to move on in the first place? Because the first chick you was paying for everything should have worked out technically, what y'all saying. Because it's like, hey, if I'm paying the bulk of the bills, they should be happy. They should be listening. So there would be no need for you to get rid of them in the first place. You know, that's what I'm saying. That's why a lot of times guys double talk. And it's like, man, I hate giving pushback and stuff like that. But it's just like, man, when you're taking a full stance, like, oh, you can't do this. If you do the 50-50, they're going to disrespect you. It's like, hell nah. Because a dude with game ain't allowing no disrespect under no terms. I don't give a damn. Like, my wife would come tell you, she's just like, man, we treat each other with respect. That's initial. Like, so it's just like I said, the way that they view themselves is just like, oh man, if I don't pay, she's gonna have this, you know, she's gonna come and disrespect me. She ain't gonna treat me masculine. And it's just like, if you're masculine, you ain't gonna allow nobody to treat you with disrespect anyways.
Let me add on to that what you said, because I like how you broke it down. Because here's the thing. Remember when Stan, like, you know, was joking around, and well, actually, I mean, it is kind of true in some cases, but it was like, oh man, like, you know, M3, like, you know, he has like, you know, the Latino woman, like she's taking care of his hair, things like that.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, you gotta work through that respect. Like, it's just not freely given. You gotta let the person know that, look, man, like when you disrespect me, like I'm out. You ain't gonna see me, you ain't gonna hear from me for a long time. And you gotta have that mindset where it's like when you're out, you treat it like a vacation and you go on with the next person.
Yeah, facts.
And if that next person is being disrespectful or just saying something that's totally goofy, I'm like, well, okay, you know, obviously you seem like the type of person, you need your space or whatever, right? So let me go ahead and I'm gonna switch up and I'm gonna move to another person.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, one thing that my dad always taught me, right? No matter what circumstances, what these women say or whatever, I mean, one, you can't really take most of them seriously, but then two,
facts,
they always come back in any shape or form. And I'm gonna make this last part quick, okay? The last person who was like, yeah, sometimes like I feel uncomfortable when you know, when I want to spend time with you, but then you do spend time with me, and I think that when you do spend time with me, you'll neglect all your plans or put other people to the side for me, which is totally that was the way how she thought, you know. And I'm like, okay, like this is some weird bullshit or whatever. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let you think that way. I'm not gonna take you seriously, but however, I'm going to act accordingly to what you just said. Now, when I'm talking to another person, or now I'm giving less of my time, now you're having a problem. You're complaining about, I don't like this person. She's always like, I'm always seeing you with her, blah, blah, blah. You're giving her too much of her time. Like, no one is ever going to be satisfied. You know what I mean? And the thing is that the reason why I'm just saying all this stuff, because we get too caught up in what the woman wants, but we fail to realize is that what she wants is night and day. It's like clockwork. She's going to want a whole million things. Are you going to be the one to keep catering to that? Or are you going to put your foot down and just tell her, like, look, this is the way how I operate. If this is not aligned with you, doors that way.
Facts.
That's all.
Yeah, and I always tell the story, man. Like, you know, when I was before I got married, man, you know, and everybody's gonna date and try to talk to multiple people before you you know, make that selection. So, man, I have my I'm going out on dates with females and I'm telling them off the rip. I'm like, look, you're gonna have to contribute with me. And then, you know, of course, some of the females would be like, yeah, I can't do that. I want a man that pays. And I was like, hey, I understand. This ain't gonna work out. And, you know, they still be like trying to well, you know, they want to negotiate because I'm steadfast. I'm like, yeah, you got to work with me, because I knew female nature, where it's just like, hey, a female that's willing to work for you, she like you. So I just made that up front. That was one of my initial conversations. Like, hey, I'm looking for a female that's willing to contribute. Ain't got no issue. So the ones that was like, nah, I can't do that. I want a guy to pay for everything. Man, I got him up out of there, man. And that was like my initial thing. So I just was so comfortable in myself and confident that I didn't care that I had to eliminate some females out the back. I don't care how they looked. And that's the issue with a lot of guys, where they want all the girls to like them. And so what happens when the guy sees the prettiest girl, he starts conforming to what she wants. Like, oh, well, she's not going to work with me. She doesn't want to, you know, contribute. So I'll change. I'll adapt my standards and my principles. And that's where guys lose. And I'm like, move out. So when I met my wife, we were sitting there chopping it up. I'm like, you know, this is this. She was like, yeah, no, I have no issue working with a person. That makes sense. I'm an adult. You know what I'm saying? It was just a very seamless conversation and shit. So yeah, that's where, when guys don't understand, it's just like, man, you don't have to concede no leadership. And provision is just not always money, man. You could provide way much more than money. You know, so like me and my wife, when we're talking, she was just like, hey, man, I want to be a nurse. Because I was telling her, I was cocky as hell. I knew who the hell I was going to be. I'm like, look, I'm going to win. Blah, blah, blah. But what you want to do? She was like, yeah, I want to be a nurse, you know, this and this. I'm like, hey, that's what you're going to be then. Like, hey, listen, I'm getting out of the military. I was like, I'm going to go to school. You going to go to school too. And she didn't really believe in herself a lot when it came to certain things. Like, she wanted to be the nurse. But even then, I'm like, hey, man, you need to check out leadership, because you smart as hell. Like, go do this and this. You know, I was resourceful because my sister was a nurse too. So I'm putting her on the phone with people. I'm like, hey, man, like, talk to my sister. She's in a leadership role. So like, me being resourceful and, you know, networking all my whole life. And, you know, she started moving up too. And she's just like, I think a month ago, her mom and her aunt came to the house. So we were talking about retirement and stuff. And they were just like telling her, because, you know, she just got a promotion for like a VP position. So they were just like, yo, we're so proud of you, man. Like, what you and, you know, Jerk became. She was like, man, I wish I would have had somebody that pushed me like that. Because she was just like, hey, our older generation, we were lied to as far as, you know, like, kind of not progress, bring money in and, you know, just stay at home and stuff. Because her aunt was just telling me, because she works with insurance and, you know, finances too now. And she was just like, man, we're so far behind. And, you know, they both had divorces and stuff that impact them. So they're just like breaking this down. They're like, nah, y'all on the right path. She was like, I tell so many females, like, nah, you know, work with your man, get a job. And, you know, they're in their, like, I think late 60s and 70s. So they're breaking this down and they're telling me like, nah, you're doing a great job with her. They're like, man, the position you put my wife in, they're like, you know, you did a great job. Y'all doing the right thing. So this is what a lot of people, they're just not looking long term. But like you were saying, it's just like, nah, you got to be willing to get rid of people, man, and lose them, and not be like shooken up and scared. Like, if you got to eliminate some females that ain't in line with you.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, you was cooking on that. So let me play a little bit more.
That's something you got to ask yourself, because you can't have it both ways. You can't ask a woman to go 50-50 and then you think you're going to come in here let your nuts hang in the house and I'm paying half the bills. It don't work that way. All right, guys.
And just one last thing, because when he's talking about leadership, a lot of guys talk about control and, you know, just barking orders. And that's why I'm saying it's critical. If you get a smart woman that knows how to make good decisions and it's aligned with your principles and stuff, it's like a company, a CEO, because I'm an executive role, man. I don't go and I tell my managers, I'm like, man, y'all know what we need to do, make those decisions, and we'll check it on the back end. So if you're the type of guy that you're hovering, or you got to make every decision because your chick can't operate, that means you made a bad selection. So that way you got to micromanage everything. So now you're not even efficient. So that's why you see a lot of couples that don't make it, because it's just like they got to spend so much time double checking each other's responsibilities, because it's just like that guy, you know, typically when them guys be like, oh, get the chick from McDonald's, it's like that's what happens. So that's why, you know, they're stuck down here and stuff. Whereas you get somebody that's aligned with you and they actually smart, you could kind of divide the pie. It's like, hey, you go and knock that stuff out. I taught you how to invest and maneuver stuff. Now I can focus on these other things. And so that's why, like, they say the rich get richer, because it's just like, man, they don't sit there and like both focus on the same functions and stuff. They're splitting the pie. They're like, shit, I'm taking the money, I'm doing this, I'm gonna take the money, I'm gonna go over here with it. So now we got 4 or 5 flows of income because, you know, we just maneuver smarter. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there because that's what.
No, good point.
Yeah, nah.
I'll chime in later on that part though, because I know we gotta finish the video up.
Yeah.
I would rather pay more. It costs to be the boss. I would rather pay more and be the leader in that relationship. That's me. You could do what the hell you want to do. Y'all can sit around there and goddamn draw straws, make decisions for all I fucking care.
But see, and just one last thing, and this is the issue with a lot of guys with the whole provider stuff, and I always give them pushback. Like I said, man, if you want to do that because it's just more functional for your house, like you want to raise your kids, like homeschool them and stuff, I understand that. But like if you got to pay for leadership, you don't have leadership. I mean, you could lie to yourself unless you're and then the way you describe your chick, it's just like, oh man, she's gonna be resentful. She's not gonna respect me unless I do everything. You're already kind of conceding like what type of mentality your female has, and that you wasn't willing to walk away from somebody that really didn't respect you unless you gave them money. So that's what I'm saying. It's when I don't think guys pause and like walk this stuff out in their mind and stuff, because if they did, they would understand how terrible this shit sounds. And it's just like the fact that you took that deal anyways shows that you got limited options, because no guy that got a lot of options will take a terrible deal where a chick is like, if you don't give me what I want, I'm gonna treat you like shit. It's like, how the hell are you masculine? Are you in charge of some shit? Is somebody's like literally like communicating to you this type of stuff? Oh, I'm gonna act like a little kid unless I get what I want. I'd be like, man, hit that door right now. Like, peace. Like, man, I'm getting you the Uber. Like, there would be no way nobody ever would talk to me like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay. Now I wanted to chime on this one. Right.
Go ahead. Do your thing.
All right. I'm gonna be honest with you, because look, I ain't gonna sugarcoat anything, gonna lie or whatever. In my thoughts, I like to be transparent as much as possible, right? So when I first heard that, and this was like in a midst, right, of me trying to prep myself for the upcoming test at that time to be like a driver delegate.
Yeah.
I really wanted that precision. I had studied my behind off for so long. I'm just gonna say, unfortunately, right, due to favoritism and rigging shit up, right, I doubt that, you know, I'm gonna get that precision. I'm just gonna be honest with that. But during that time, and that's gonna be another story for itself anyway, right? Yeah. Shout outs to the simps that are like, you know, in management. But anyways, fucking vaginas. But so what I was gonna say was, right, I almost kind of bought into that shit, right? Because, you know, just of my recent circumstances, I was like kind of thinking to myself, like, man, like, am I not good enough? Like, this is the way how we gotta start doing things in modern society? Sometimes I just ask myself all these weird ass questions, right? Because like I'm listening to all that stuff, and I'm like, but that's the life that I really want to live. Like, yeah. He's telling people, and this is the part when you get to the 12:42 mark, right? Or play at 12:40, when he starts to like excuse himself from ranting. I was like thinking to myself, like, damn, man, like, yeah, it might be easy in some cases, but in order for the woman to kind of know that you're on that provider type of role, you have to kind of like flex your money a little bit. You know, like flaunt it. You like that person has to know that you're doing something in order for her to think like, okay, this guy is a certified lick. I could take advantage of him financially, and we need to accept it because that's the way it is because they're hardwired. But he's gonna break it down in details of like how women accept who they are, and they know that their beauty is everything to us. We need to have that same mindset that money or providing for her lifestyle is everything to them. But yeah, when you play that clip, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on something you said. So I think, man, you should never feel bad for hearing stuff and possibly think about going down that path. So what you was doing, man, and this is what, like I told you, I did at an early age, man. I questioned stuff. So I was like, hey, man, is this the right way to go? Because I'm hearing this. So what you were doing is like, man, analyzing it. And then, like you said an important thing. It's like, man, this is truly how I would want to live. And then it's just like, man, when you do that type of analytical like breakdown and process this stuff, it's just like, nah, because this is like, and because this is what I did. Like I said, a lot of the people were doing this around me. So I started observing. I'm just like, okay, man, nobody's really ending up in a good position, whether it's the females when they leave and they only get a minimal amount of money. The guys are not doing good because it's like now you're paying out this money. So now the kids are impacted because it's just like the pie is getting split out because people now got to live at a minimal level. So now you can't leave no legacy. So it's just like a lot of times where we're talking about traditional stuff, it's just like we're complaining too, because like on a lot of lives, we're like, oh man, the community stuff is just like we didn't receive any inheritance. So it's just like, is traditionalism really the way to go if, you know, nobody left money behind and we're always constantly starting from scratch? Because it's just like, you know, when people, you know, end up dying and stuff, it's just like, you know, people a lot of times don't have money to pay for the funerals. You know, they're not leaving homes behind. So this is what I'm saying. It's just like, like I said on the last podcast we were doing, I'm like, man, unless you really come from like the Rockefellers or, you know, families that got money and stuff, it's like, you might not need to like do traditionalism. You could do like a hybrid of stuff. Like I took like my dad's work ethic, but I was looking at them. I'm like, man, I'm working smarter. I ain't trying to do all that shit. That's why I was like, me and my wife, whoever I'm with, we gonna work together. We're going to excel faster. And that's exactly what we did. So it's just like, man, when you stick to old school stuff without, like I said, looking at all the costs that they didn't have to pay, looking at the simplicity of like work now, like, come on, we're sitting in a cubicle and in some AC. You're telling me you can't sit there and get paid? You're going to like have a hissy fit if you got to go sit in a cubicle? Like, come on, man. Like, who's buying this shit? So I just wanted to give some pushback. But no, I just think it's smart that you assessed it and you're just like, hey, man, like, nah, you know what? I'm open to consider other things. And that's how I was. And that's why I'm, you know, me and my wife have our son early. We were supposed to be the young couple that didn't make it. But I was like, I'm beating every stereotype. I'm not going to sit there and do everything everybody else did. And that's actually what leadership is. It's like the ability to be like, you know what, I'm not doing what everybody else does. And that's why I give a lot of credit to the young boys when I be seeing these lives. A couple that pop into my mind, Sway, Cheeky, and AO, they be giving a lot of pushback on stuff like, man, we ain't about to be like y'all old cats doing all that folk shit. And I be loving it, man, because that's how I was. I was like, everybody always used to try to tell me what to do. I'm like, man, I'm smarter than you motherfuckers. That's how cocky I was. I was like, yeah, I ain't about to, I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm smarter than y'all. I'm better than y'all. I used to talk shit. So they be like, oh, here he comes. Like, now that I'm there, they're like, oh, man, you always was like not going to do what everybody did. You kind of did your thing. And, you know, so yeah, no, I'm glad you looking at it like that. Because that's what smart people do, man. So it's just like you're gonna end up gaining success for that mindset, man.
Well, also too, like, and I'll just say this at the end, right before you play the video. You know, you also have to kind of like look at your experience as well too. Again, I was a man that knew what it felt like to feel loved. you know, or to be loved. I mean, before the unfortunate happened for my wife to have like a mental condition, I knew what it was like, where money wasn't the object. I probably stressed more about money than she did. You know what I mean? But I know that if I could get up with a woman who was successful in her own career, and like I said, I mean, we're both successful in our careers, but someone, again, who makes more and money was never really the factor, she was still like submissive, she was still willing, right? And she was still like open to love. Unfortunately, right, you know, if I was to go out there, like, yeah, I'm picky as hell. That is my problem. I mean, I don't ever want to be the type of person to like settle for someone that was less.
Yeah,
that's the same thing with my friendships, like with certain other women or whatever. Once, like, you know, my work wife or whatever, like, you know, it's called whatever. Once my work wife, like, you know, starts setting a precedent where it's like, okay, she is, like I said, anything that like I could ask from her, right? If she could do it, right? Like I said, if, right, because it does come with stipulations, right? If she could do it, then yes, like, you know, she'll definitely provide. If she doesn't have what it is, like let's say like she made like oatmeal with beets one time and shared it with me. I never had oatmeal and beets mixed in together, but it was good as hell, right? And I asked for more. Unfortunately, she didn't have the time to make it. You know what I mean? Again, she got her own life or whatever. But what she did was, like, she went to this little bread store or whatever, where she always be getting like free bread, or maybe she buys bread, whatever she does, right? But she'll always have a sandwich for me. She's like, okay, look, before you take your test, Mario, right? I'm gonna make sure I feed you. I want to make sure you have enough, like, you know, brain food or whatever. So I'm gonna make this sandwich for you. I got some other stuff or whatever. Again, I gotta lay off the bread or whatever, right? So I'm still picky, but it's the thought that counts. If she has other stuff that she could really share with me, right, she'll definitely share it. You know. So from that point, now that spoiled me, because I'm like, look, all you other people over at my space of duty, look, you can't top her. Unless if like you start learning how to cook and make meals and go all out or whatever, right? So I'm just saying, don't complain if you don't put in the work into that. And that's the same way how I treat other relationships. You gotta be picky, you know?
Yeah, facts.
Even when you're about to clap the cheeks or whatever, you gotta be picky as well too. You gotta know who you clapping, because sometimes, man, like, you know, it may not even worth the clap.
And I like what you brought up, man, because if you consider yourself, like, people use all the terms, top tier, high value, alpha, it's like you're assigning value to yourself that you're somewhat at the top, and there's no issue with that. But it's just like, if you truly feel like you're at that top, you should want a level of respect and value that somebody brings because you put yourself in that position. So that's why I'm saying, it's just like a lot of times, and I'm not just saying this to him, but it's just like, if you're sitting there and you're already pedestalizing somebody where I got to do A, B, C, D, and they really don't have to bring that much value and stuff, it's just like, are you really at the top that you're assigning this value to? Because like you said, it's like, I demand a certain level of a treatment, because I'm going to treat somebody good. But, you know, I had favorable relationships, like you were saying, where it's just like, man, I know what good treatment looks like, and I'm going to get that. And I know it exists. So it's like, are there some females that ain't going to give that? Yeah, but they're not going to be in my vicinity. They're going to be getting up out of there. So it's just like, man, like you laid it out. It's just like, hey, homegirl was like looking out, doing certain things, so you understand what that like looks like and what that feels like. And, you know, even like you had your situation, everything ain't always going to last. But even then, it's just like, one thing I always gave you credit is just like, man, you ain't sit there and like, oh my God, this happened. I'm going to just shut myself off. You're like, hey, shit happens. Took care of that. You know, you never disrespected. And you're like, hey, I'm going to find another person that's going to treat me. You know, I took my lessons I learned, and I'm going to find somebody that's going to give me some value in return. And man. That's how you got to operate as a guy. So, you know, a lot of times people try to bash people like, oh, well, why did you get a divorce and stuff? You know, because me and Manny came in the game and people were trying to throw shots at him. I'm like, dude, any guy that walks away from somebody that don't respect them, that's a man in my book, because you ain't supposed to tolerate no disrespect. So like I said, I was like, hey man, if I get disrespect, I'm not sitting there. So I'm not about to gig some guys that like, hey, you know what? Somebody stepped over these boundaries. I'm walking. That's what you're supposed to do. So
I appreciate it. And look, I had my moments anyways, even behind the scenes or whatever. So
no, facts, you human. I don't expect nobody to be cold like that. You'll be a serial killer. You acting like that. But it's just like, man, you never brought a negative energy to nobody. You're just like, hey, man, I need a little bit of time. I need to process this. But when you came back, you're like, hey, man, y'all good to go. Let's knock this work out.
Yeah, because I couldn't stand, like, man, I was going for so long, but it was so much like foolery that was going on. I was like, oh, okay, I can't stand this shit or whatever, right? Let me come back and be
you like you said, you gotta handle stuff sometimes. I understand that. So but I mean, you always came back with a positive attitude and stuff like that. So it just shows like your character and masculinity and stuff. So yeah, I just
much respect.
I don't ever try to bash anybody, because it's just like, man, anything can happen to anybody, and anybody that's like, because I always used to see panels where like sometimes married dudes would try to flex on people, and it was funny because everybody's like, man, how come you don't? I will always take up for the guys that were single and stuff. I'm like, man, marriage ain't no flex. You know, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm married. I love my wife. We work together, but marriage don't define my masculinity. And, you know, and stuff like that. And me paying for everything, or whatever percentage you pay, that's not alpha. Alpha is not tied to how much you pay or anything. It's not tied to a female. It's the acts you do as a man that builds you up to that position. So, you know, that's why I always get pushback on this stuff. I'm like, man, stop tying the female to your leadership, how much you got to pay for stuff. Because it's just like, man, see, that's when a lot of times we're complaining as men, where it's just like, hey, man, these females, you know, the only way they'll respect you is you would pay. We're guilty for the ones putting that thought in their head and then pushing that at like, or, you know, even when guys are like, oh, women are incentivized to leave. Well, fuck, if you're the one that's telling them you're going to pay for everything and that's the only way I could gain, you know, a leadership or respect, shit, you're the one that's incentivizing them to have that thought in their head. That's why I'm saying I ain't creating that incentive, because I'm like, shit, you don't work with me, you're going to get guys, and you could take whatever you contributed to this relationship. So, yeah, that's why guys got to be careful with this shit, you know, and that's why I give the pushback. So. All right, I fast forwarded to that part you was talking about, because yeah, after this part, we go ahead and cut this, because this is a long ass line.
Yeah, I gotta speak on it. You know, I try not to rant on these things that much no more, but every now and then I just get pissed off when I come to something. For the life of me, can somebody please tell me, why the fuck do women accept the dynamics in the sexual market value place, but men don't? And what I mean by that is, why do y'all guys have a hard issue with accepting that women like providers?
Because I'm not a trick. That's why I take exception to all this bullshit. And I got hell of an amount of game, and I never had to do it in my life, and always garnered the respect from women. So I have to give pushback, but I'll get back to the video.
It pisses me off when y'all guys feel like you're being slighted as a man. Why do money gotta matter in here? Guys, stop fighting fucking nature. Please. It pisses me off. Please stop fighting fucking nature. Please stop hating women for their natural essence. And if you're a woman watching this and you don't accept this, please stop hating men for our natural essence. We want to fuck. So you do not have to pull your fucking stupid ass tripod out in the gym, bent over, doing goddamn hamstring goddamn pull-ups or stiff leg deadlifts with a camera trying to catch somebody staring at your ass. Bitch, we gonna look at your goddamn ass. Men, women,
you're a funny guy though.
wired to want a fucking provider. Get over it. Does not make you a fucking beta male. It does not make you a fucking simp. Stop listening to these dating coaches who never show no fucking receipts, have never showed a fucking receipt, sit around and try to tell you you're a beta male because you have to use money. You're leading with your wallet. Get over this bullshit. I'm sick of it. I talked about this shit 7 years ago and I'm still having to talk about it because these damn stupid ass dating coaches on YouTube sit around and spread this bullshit to y'all that tell you, oh, the lead with your wallet, this, that, and other. How the fuck this shit goes on in the animal kingdom? The lion literally, the wolves, the lions, all these dudes, they literally sit and they fight as in the woman and they get the alpha gets all the pussy because he shows all the other lions, I can protect you the best. Get over it. Out there in the wild and shit like that, it's not about who has the most money and stuff. It's about who's the biggest, baddest motherfucker that can protect you. So that's who gets all the fucking pussy. In the real world, we not animals out in the middle of the wilderness. In the real world, it's about who can protect you with the resources, as in who can keep a fucking roof over your head. I don't see gorillas running around and apes running around and fucking lions running around. Oh, why do I gotta protect her? Man, y'all sons of bitches get on my fucking nerves. Get over it. Women like a provider. In the animal kingdom, it's translated a little bit different. It's a little bit more about protection, but it's still there. In the animal kingdom, the alpha, the one who got all the pussy, was the biggest, strongest motherfucker that whoop everybody's ass. And he the one get all the motherfucking pussy. In the real world, the motherfucker is still some of that dynamic. It's still some of that dynamic. That's why you see the Pookie and Ray Ray shit. But it's still some of that dynamic. But for us law-abiding citizens, and you still need to be a protector, don't get me wrong, but it's not expressly on that. It's more about who got the resources. Y'all guys got to get out of this high school bullshit where women were about looks. You big grown-ass 35-year-old man running around here talking about some grown-ass motherfucking men thinking grown-ass women gonna be on some goddamn charisma. I'll put my foot in your charisma ass. You sons of bitches, big grown-ass women running around here, got bills to pay, and you running your ass with that high school bullshit, talking about some goddamn swag and charisma. I'll swag my foot in you motherfuckers' asses. I'm tired of this shit. Get over it. You can just leave with the wallet. The money don't matter. Bullshit. It does matter. It's gonna forever matter. Big bank take little bank. Damn. I can't believe I'm still in 2024 and I still have to have this conversation with grown-ass men who still living in fucking high school and college where bitches was fucking off who goddamn had the cutest smile. Bitch, that shit don't matter no more. Big grown ass. Running your 25-year-old ass running around here with that damn college shit. That damn high school shit. I used to fuck all the dimes. Get over them in the old days. Where you at now? You're dealing with grown-ass women with grown-ass bills. Shit. Women understand this and they grasp this, and men just seem to want to be on. I want a woman that loves. Listen, you don't see fat women running around, expecting the world off of what social media has made them delusional. Y'all want to know why? Y'all want to know why? Because you got guys that done simp with them. That's why. When y'all see fat girls on social media talking that shit, I want a high value man. Why y'all think that is? Check they fat ass DMs. Go over there. Y'all guys think I'm lying. Do try this. I already tried it just to see. Go try to find like a slightly overweight woman, 250 or something. Now I ain't gonna crazy, but like 250, right? 260, right? Create a fake profile on Hinge or something and see how many DMs. And you wondering why that fat bitch running around talking about something. I want a high value man. That's because simps will fuck any goddamn thing. Simps will goddamn compliment any damn thing. But you don't see women as they understand that a great Lord of what I bring is my beauty. They understand that, but men, like they get butthurt when women are not, it's not, oh, she should like me for me. You know what? I'm gonna move on. Y'all guys just do what you want to fucking do. If you wanna date hot chicks, guys, date women that look physically out of your league. It's gonna have to be some financial compensation though. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, y'all guys can't deal with reality. Y'all can't deal with real world. This is biology 101. I just don't. Whoa, boy, men ain't even men no more these days. This should be elementary, but if I know, and I'm not talking to all you guys.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop it right there. We get the point of it. And some of the stuff he's saying is true, but that's the issue with a lot of guys. Because at the end, where he's just like, you know, if you want a woman out of your league, that's the issue. Like, yeah, you are gonna have to pay. So why would you want somebody that's naturally gonna come into something that wants some money and is gonna disrespect you? And so like he was conflating some of the things, because when he's talking about nature and shit, it's like, first of all, you know, Animal Kingdom don't have to pay for luxury trips and cell phone plans and stuff. So there's like women that do want to go, because even like say like a female that like we were talking about it the other week, and I think guys confuse it sometimes when females are like, hey, I want a guy that is successful. If a woman is successful, she's looking at it from, you know, I want some guy that got kind of the right same mindset that I got, so he's not going to take me under. That's not bad, because hell, I'm the same way. I'm like, that's why I always say I don't mess with broke chicks, because it's like, hell, I don't want nobody. I don't want no dependents. I want a grown ass woman that knows how to operate as an adult. That's my motherfucking standard and expectation. I'm gonna treat you as an adult. We're gonna come in here. We're gonna build this thing up, and we're gonna excel. So it's just like, you know, when he's kind of saying some of these things, man, that's the issue, because it's just like there's multiple things that females like. So is there a population that want the resources like he's saying? Absolutely. And that might be the shit that you're aligned with and you're attracting. But there's also women that are picking guys based on attraction, whether it's sexual, physical. They might already be financially sound where they don't have to look for the same things like a broke chick might need, you know, because they're not in a place of necessity that they need somebody to like uplift them. Then there's, you know, females that, you know, they might need, like I said, they might be in that place where they get with somebody young and they grow with them. And they might need like a more of a, you know, mental support and stuff like that, spiritual support. So like a lot of times, that's why I'm saying, like, when guys, they don't experience certain things, that they don't get certain things, they just automatically want to assume that it can't exist. And that's the issue. So it's just like, not to say like, man, he definitely looks like he got his shit together, but it's like, hey man, could you ever be a point with a lot of guys on YouTube where it's just like, maybe you just can't get that? And that's fine. We always, men, got to be able to build towards stuff. So it's like, there was a point, man, where I wasn't getting favorable results when I was younger, and then I had to build up to shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's just the facts, man. You're not, everybody ain't gonna always start off at the same point. So instead of me hating and trying to conflate everybody into my position, I was just like, nah, I could see that guy over there getting, my cousin, great treatment by females. I need to build up to the prototype that he is. That's the blueprint. So I did that instead of making excuses and be like, oh, it can't exist. It's like, nah, it can't exist. You just can't achieve this shit. So what AMS is kind of doing, he's projecting. He's just like, hey, since I can't get it, my game might be a little limited. I'm just going to say it don't exist, and you're kind of beta, or you're not masculine if you don't do it this way. And that's the issue I have a lot of with these arguments. It's like, nah, your ass, just because y'all motherfuckers can't get a motherfucker to come in and work with you and you still have respect, you have leadership, is like, that's some shit you need to work on. That don't mean like a female's masculine because she wants to go work and work with her husband. Nah, because there's a ton of feminine females. Y'all motherfuckers just can't get them. And that's the reality. And that's what people need to just start being honest and saying, like, damn, M3 got a chick over there that's working with him. She's working. That would be like me being able to see that and be like, oh man, nah, she has to be in charge of the relationship. That's some hating shit that people do, instead of just giving you your props. Like, damn, you know, he got a good situation. Shit, M3, how'd you foster that relationship? So that's what I'm saying. They'll put their ego instead of going asking these questions. And that's what I ask questions. I'm like, shit. When I saw my cousin, I was like, yo, dude, how you get this? they dropping out bags of stuff for you. I was like, I was intrigued. I was like, damn, because he was breaking it down. He was like, because he was 2 years older than me. So he was 18. He was like, man, I get chicks that like me. I be hitting this gym. I make sure I'm fly, blah, blah, blah. My mindset's always right. So I was like, shit, I'm changing. I got me a gym pass that day. I was living up in there. I made sure, like, he was like, hey, you got to start talking to women, making sure you're, so he broke the whole game down. And that's the issue with a lot of men. They just always put their ego so much in this stuff. And it's just like, man, it's all right to say I can't achieve some shit at this moment. But it's like, don't knock the other guys that can achieve this shit. That's hating. So that's
that's major facts that you're spinning, major game as well too, because and I forget what we was going to do for Talks Tuesday because I felt it was almost going to tie into that. But
no Fugazi.
Oh yeah, Fugazi, my bad. But yeah, even with that, right? Like, see, the less we stop overthinking this stuff and stop trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to change myself so I could get these type of women? Once we kind of put that to a pause and be like, all right, what can I do for myself, right? Where naturally they're gonna find me attractive. What areas, what type of people that I could talk to that's gonna be aligned with me? Because again, the whole goal is basically you need to just find people that like you for you. You know what I mean? So if you keep, I'm gonna put it like this. For me, this is how I learn certain stuff, right? Everything is always through experience. So if I'm calling someone and you're not reciprocating, you're not calling me back, but you're texting me, right? I may text back just for a little bit, but then I will stop at a certain point. You know what I mean? Because again, I'm not like a butthurt type of person where it's like, oh, you text me and when I called you, I'm not going to do no. You know, I'll still approach as if I'm still approaching my friendly self, but I'm always going to remember, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to waste my energy on you. This will be the last time I would do that.
Yeah, fair.
Now, when I take you seriously, when the time comes when you really need someone like me to spend time with you. Because the thing is, if I keep doing that with more people like that, now what I'm doing, I'm developing an insecurity. I'm setting myself for failure. And now I'm going to keep thinking, especially when you listen to all these red pill talk, I'm going to like psych myself out as if I'm a loser or a guy that can't really get women. Or be like, damn, why this person, why that person? It's because your energy and you're chasing after the wrong type. Facts. Now, when you let that person go, think about the other person who will respond back to you. There's women, look, even if they live far away, I could always give them a call. They'll pick up, they'll answer their phone. Sometimes the conversation could go from 30 minutes to an hour to whatever, right? But these are women that genuinely like me. You know what I mean? They're not asking for no money. And matter of fact, we could talk more like, behind the scenes as well too, right? And I could tell you some of my in-depth stories, but, there's women that won't even ask for no money or whatever. Money is never even a conversation in the equation. Some of them, I'm not even worried about trying to go on dates or whatever. Some of them will probably be like, and if they're hungry, a lot of times they're going to be the ones initiating. If I'm like, I don't have the money for it right now for the time being or whatever, or I ain't in the mood to spend, if they really want to hang out with me, they're going to offer. So I had offers or whatever, right? Where it's like, well, I'm gonna treat you or whatever, and then you just get me next time. Simple as that. Nothing complicated. You ain't gotta stretch and be like, oh, I gotta have all this money. I gotta take them to Roof Chris. I gotta take them to Red Lobster. You ain't gotta do none of that.
Facts.
Just take them to a nice little simple like breakfast or date, whatever. Keep the expenses very low. Talk to them, and like I said, if they like you and they want you to spread them, you spread them like Mrs. Butterworth, all right? And that's it.
Yeah, you got a good point, because it's funny, man. When I first met my wife, man, we probably didn't go to like I'll say a more established restaurant until like, I'll say year 8 or 9 in our marriage. We've been married over 20 years now. So it's like, man, when we first got together, man, we was doing such simplistic stuff, and she ain't care, man, because like I said, she liked me, man. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like, he could say like, oh, this, you know, clowns certain things, but it's just like, man, this is experience a lot of dudes that have good relations with women are having. So to sit there and not take these guys' stories and stuff and see what you could pull from that, so you could get a better situation where you don't always have to spend your money. Because like the whole thing, like, oh man, you know, women do like the money and resources. Like, yeah, they do like that stuff. Who wouldn't like something that somebody's just willingly giving away and throwing it at them? But it's like, if you're in control of yourself, and you don't have to throw the money at them. So I don't give a damn if y'all tell me like 99 to 100% of women, like, you got to do ABC. I'm not doing it, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to find the loophole in the game, which is like, man, I'm going to go out here, be fly, hit the gym. I got humor and all that stuff, and it works, you know? So it's like, y'all can doubt it all y'all want to. And one point he did make, as far as like coaches and stuff like that, I do agree with him. Like, there's a lot of people that come in here, try to coach and say dumb shit. But like with us, it's like, man, I ain't charging nobody for nothing. I just get pushback on shit because I honestly want people to consider working with each other. I'm not saying you got to do everything like I do, man. Take some here, piece together multiple people, man. Listen to everybody and see what you could take from that and build a healthy relationship where you could excel, man. Because like I said, somebody told me something important. They were like, man, if you want to be in a 1%, you got to stop thinking like the 99. And that stuck with me for my whole life, because and that's where I just started always maneuvering, you know, the way I needed to maneuver. Or I always looked at the winners and saw what they did, and I took pieces from that. So I think a lot of times when people are pitching this stuff, it's just like, man, you might not be looking at the best examples, and that might be where you're stuck at. I'm looking at the people that I see excelling. So I'm going to take from that. And like I said, me and my wife won. My wife, if you go to my channel that this is on, she's on the movie reviews, you know, she pull up on lives and stuff. She have no problem talking to y'all. So, you know, I have no problem showing receipts and shit.
Yeah.
All right, man, we can start trying to close this one out and stuff, because yeah, we definitely I think this was a good live to talk to. And no shot at AMS. I still think he's a solid dude, man. Like I said, I'm just trying to give pushback because I want people to start working together. And I get it. You know, it's just like, if men, we come together and we start having better standards, and like, you know what? We get it what y'all want, but to maneuver forward and excel, y'all gonna have to start working with us. And this is the standard. So if men did that, you know how powerful that would be, where they got to get on board for shit. And that's why I'm like, man, we got to start grabbing our nuts and stop being scared. We can't be sitting out here calling ourselves like alpha and we the leaders and top tier, and we scared to like have certain oh my god, they're gonna be resentful if we don't do this, and they're not gonna respect us. You can't have leadership if you don't pay all of this. It's like, man, you know how weak that fucking sounds, you know. So that's what I'm saying, man. We gotta grab our nuts, man. We can't be talking all this shit and then be nervous, you know.
Now, real talk though, definitely for sure. Yeah, but man. You start putting our foot down, man. Just let them know, like, look, there's plenty of men that you could choose, man. You don't have to choose me. I think if you respectfully just tell them that, look, I know they're gonna be like, damn, then they're gonna want to argue with you or whatever, but there ain't nothing to really argue about. You make your decision, you make your choice or whatever you choose, you live with it. And then, of course, they're going to come back or whatever and get back to the right senses or whatever. So, yeah, man. You know what? I think the resentful part is that women know that we're holding back. And, you know, I mean, you know, some people would probably say pause, but you're not grabbing your nuts enough, bro. You know?
No, facts.
And man, you got to start doing that.
They resent the fact that they can't control you. That's the reality. Yeah. A lot of women are control freaks. So that's why I'm saying a lot of this, the provider shit, and that's why a lot of dudes used to get mad at me. I'm like, the woman is dictating to you what she wants. You could lie to yourself. You could try to make yourself feel comfortable. Like, oh, this is what I'm doing because I'm masculine. I'm like, nah, masculinity ain't paying for every goddamn thing. You could, but it's just like, it's a kind of like a happy wife, happy life concept. Cause it's like, hey, I got to do all this to make her happy so she don't resent me. So dudes that are like, hey, you're going to do stuff on my terms. You can contribute. You're going to be an adult. A lot of women do resent that because you know why? They can't control that. They're not getting over on that person. So yeah, you spot on with that. It's just like, yeah, they resent the fact that they can't control you. And then they can't leverage it. So it's like, if they want to leave and stuff, they're like, shit, I got to take what I came with type of thing. I can't sit here and get more than I didn't. So yeah, it's not a favorable position for them to like be incentivized to like take more than what they came into, because you're forcing them to be like, hey, you gonna contribute to the household that you live in and our kids equally, and you're gonna put that money in, you're gonna invest in this household. So it's just like, if they up and leave, it's like they're not gonna gain as much as if they didn't work or anything like that. They're like, shit, I didn't really have to contribute, nothing that much financially, but I could take half of this shit. So that's a hell of an incentive. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's an incentive I ain't trying to give out. So this is like, shit, anybody could say like, oh, 50-50 don't exist. I'm like, yeah, and I could break it down to you. I could show you how I'm winning with it. I ain't trying to charge nobody shit. I ain't here for that. I'm just here to like prevent people from like spitting these like fear tactics. And it's like, hey, if you're scared of these chicks, just say you're scared. I got it. I'm not gonna make fun of you, but don't try to push your fear and your limitations on everybody else just because you can't like get a chick to come and work with you. So that's where I'm just at with it. I'm like, hey man, if you're more comfortable paying for everything, just say that. I'm more comfortable for everything because I feel if I don't, she ain't gonna listen to me. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little scared in life. And that's where you need to state, man. Stop trying to spin it where like you're the most masculine person. You saying the most unmasculine shit, because I ain't got no goddamn fear. I'll tell all these chicks. I'll line them all up. Like, y'all go work me or you gonna get the hell up out of here. I ain't got no fear. I used to tell people, I was like, man, I get rid of these birds like Petco.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, but we'll go ahead and close this out, man.
All right, for sure, man.
But all right, y'all. Peace, man.
All right. Later, y'all.